continue to live on. And he's also then put out some of these personal interactions he's had with Asha Bhosle. And on your screens are these 4 pictures that the Prime Minister has taken to social media. There, Asha Bhosle seated right next to him. There's a bouquet of flowers in between. And there you see this warm handshake between the two. This is possibly a public gathering, some event that was being attended by both of them. Another visual here, I think this is Asha Bhosle ji's some sort of an album possibly that he's holding right now as they interact. So that's another snippet that has been shared by him. And the first image there on the leftmost corner that you see of the Prime Minister with Asha Bhosle. So he too says condolences to the family, to the admirers, to the musical lovers, but once again highlighting the extraordinary musical journey spanning decades. Remember, 8 decades of contribution to the industry is what we're looking at. He's spoken of how she enriched our cultural heritage, touched countless hearts across the world. So her soulful melodies, vibrant compositions, all being praised by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He says her voice carried timeless brilliance. I'll always cherish the interactions I've had with her, and then goes on to post these 4 pictures of interacting with Asha Bhosle. So across the years, I think this is the Prime Minister's interaction with the legendary singer. Starts by saying deeply saddened by the passing of Asha Bhosle. In fact, the Prime Minister had also taken to social media while she was hospitalized, undergoing treatment. He did send out a speedy recovery message as well on social media. And now comes this message by the Prime Minister, not just remembering Asha Bhosle, but also paying his own tributes to her while highlighting her extraordinary musical journey and contribution over a span of 8 decades. Vishal continues to stay on with us. Kasturi Shankar is also with us. Kasturi, you were making a point. Go ahead. The Prime Minister sending out his condolence message, remembering Asha Bhosle. He's also taken to social media to put out these images. So we have to cut out to this. But yes, you were saying, go ahead.
I will take it off from where the Prime Minister ji has even spoken about it. You see the 4 pictures that he has taken at various times with Asha ji. So she's touched him across decades, right? That's kind of the experience everybody's having. I want to say, for me, it's an intergenerational thing. Pichhle jo generation tha, my parents' generation, they grew up listening to Asha ji's Hindi songs. But my generation, we grew up listening to Asha ji's Tamil songs also. There's this immortal song in Tamil called Shenbagame, Shenbagame. Shenbagame, Shenbagame. It is Ilayaraja's greatest, one of the greatest hits of Ilayaraja in combination with Gange Amran, one of the greatest hits. And Asha ji's voice was heard I think for the first time. I'm not sure if that was her first song in Tamil. I heard her for the first time in Tamil at that point. And it's a huge hit. After that, she went on to sing September Madam for Mani Ratnam and A.R. Rahman. And then she went on to sing Ni Parkum Parvai in Hey Ram for Kamal Hassan and Rani Mukherjee. So, we have these huge immortal hits in Tamil as well. So that was my generation. And then in my daughter's generation, she has grown up listening to Asha ji's English language songs, Western songs. Because my daughter, she does not live here. She was born and brought up abroad. And one day she calls me, not today. One day in the recent past, she called me and said, Amma, I'm going to send you a clipping. Can you identify this song? And of course, I laughed because who does not know Asha ji's voice? But for her, that was a big deal. She was pleasantly surprised that Asha ji has ruled the Western space as well, and she was nominated for Grammys as well. It was a big deal, and my daughter was very proud as a person of Indian origin. That made her day. So she was the first person to call just now, and it's night time there. And she calls and says, "Did you know Asha Bhosle is no more?" And I said, entire country is mourning for her right now. So it's a legend. I would say till today we celebrated her as a divine voice. From today we will celebrate Asha ji as divinity herself.
Kasturi, we'll come back to you in just a bit. I do want to go across to Vishal once again to just quickly recap what is what is going to happen the next few hours. Vishal, tell us a little bit about the mortal remains. When will be they taken back to her Lower Parel residence? Tomorrow, 4 p.m., of course, Shivaji Park is where the last rites will take place. So in the run-up to that, what else is expected?
But her body will be taken to her house at Doparel. We're expecting later today, and then tomorrow it will be open for public to for from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. and then at 4 o'clock it's a cremation at Shivaji Park. You know, I was just going through my on social media. She actually attended Arjun Tendulkar's wedding celebration few weeks ago. So she was active and was, like I said, she was somebody who loved to socialize, and people frequently used to visit her house. And she was somebody who always spoken about like innovation. Although I was reading one of her interviews in which she has spoken about like, you know, machines can never create what human does, or can never replace humans, and that's what her views are about the use of AI. When each time we spoke to her about, like, you know, today we're talking about voice cloning. So we still need to know if he has acquired the copyrights of she had acquired the personality rights of a song, like most of the singers are doing today. She, like I said, she was very active. She sang. She was favorite of music composer like Naushad and A.R. Rahman and others.
Okay, Vishal.
Subhash Ghai just now reacted to passing away of Asha ji on his Instagram. Subhash Ghai, I just saw Subhash Ghai message. He actually posted a photo of Subhash ji with his wife. He said Asha Tai left us. We can't leave her as an iconic singer of Asha Bhosle, a unique gem, will be remembered in history of voice of India. So much versatility, never before, never after. It's my personal loss too, as she has always bestowed a special love and blessing on me and my family. You have passed away very graciously at 92, giving a wealth of song to our generation. That's Subhash Ghai's reaction to the passing away of Asha ji.
You know, within the same decade, she would continue to reinvent. She would move from one genre to the next. And I think that's one thing everyone today who's witnessed her work up close is highlighting, isn't it, Vishal? So tell us about, you know, one such decade wherein she's moved from jazz to devotional all in a decade, and has also garnered that much praise in the same period of time.
You know, I mean, I just can tell you that, you know, she was popularly known as, she was so she effortlessly switched between the genres. So from Ye Mera Dil, from Dawn to other songs, especially the Dil Cheez Kya Hai from Umrao Jaan, it almost feels like there are two different singers singing those songs, but it was always Asha ji. So I remember O.P. Nayyar once said, you know, he always preferred recording songs in Asha ji's voice, and that's why he ended up recording many songs in her voice for films like Kashmir Ki Kali or the romantic comedies and other films that mostly had Shami Kapoor in it. She was the most preferred voice when it comes to love song or energetic song. So composers, filmmakers always preferred for dance numbers it was Asha ji, and for love ballad it was Lata Mangeshkar. But she was very versatile. She loved singing folk songs, Punjabi songs in Tamil, in Telugu, in Marathi. She had a soft spot because she's from Maharashtra. She loved singing Marathi songs, Marathi devotional songs as well. So she's somebody who's always experimented with the song, somebody who gave a lot of importance to the classical singing. And in the days of today, when singers use auto tune or tweak their voice on machine, she always preferred raw voice. And she also said she also loved listening to raw voice. Because raw is original, she always said.
Which is exactly why, though Asha Bhosle is no more, her voice will continue to echo through the time. Thank you, Vishal, for that. We'll come back to you in just a bit. But as the nation mourns the loss of Asha Bhosle, we turn to the archives to remember the voice, the personality, the fierce individuality that defined her journey. Back in 2023 at Network 18's She Shakti Conclave in New Delhi, Asha Bhosle spoke candidly about carving her own identity in the shadow of her legendary sister Lata Mangeshkar. Here's Asha Bhosle in her own words from that memorable interaction. Listen in.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everybody, and thank you so much for settling down. We're in the midst of a legend. आशा जी, मैं ये बता नहीं सकती कि कितनी गर्व की बात है हमारे लिए कि आज आप यहाँ पे हैं हमारे साथ इस मंच पे. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Asha Bhosle. We can do better. A standing ovation is what a legend like her truly deserves. So, Asha ji, जो प्यार झलक रहा है यहाँ पे मैंने आपको पहले भी कहा था कि आज मैं इतने सारे लोगों से मिली हूँ और जितने भी लोगों ने मुझे बताया कि वो यहाँ आ रहे थे, सबने सबसे पहली बात यही की कि हम आ रहे हैं आशा जी को देखने के लिए. तो आपने देखा कि किस प्रकार का प्यार आपके लिए है. पर मैं शुरुआत करना चाहूंगी आपके जो सफर रहा है. आप 8 सितंबर को you're going to be 90, ladies and gentlemen. She's going to turn 90. What a fabulous journey it's been. और आपने हमेशा कहा है कि आप गाना नहीं चाहती थी, आप काम करना नहीं चाहती थी, आप फिल्में नहीं करना चाहती थी, लेकिन फिर भी आशा भोसले ने इतना कुछ कर दिया है, इतना करके भी आप अभी भी रिटायर नहीं हो रही है.
आप चाहती मैं रिटायर?
मैं बिल्कुल नहीं चाहते कि आप रिटायर हो.
मैं जब छोटी थी गाना तो गाती थी, सीखती भी थी पिताजी से, लेकिन इतना ध्यान नहीं था, ना स्कूल में ध्यान था, ना कुछ किसी चीज में. वो खेल 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 चाहिए और खाना चाहिए. मलाई बहुत खाती थी मैं.
मलाई बहुत खाती थी. अभी खाती हैं कि नहीं?
खाती हूँ. मलाई खाती हूँ. दूध बहुत पिया है मैंने, और सब लोग बोलते हैं आजकल दूध नहीं पीना चाहिए, तो मैं तो पी चुकी हूँ. और इसीलिए मैं शायद यहाँ आज हूँ. मुझे लगता है वो मलाई जो है वो काम आई है मेरे. फिर उसके बाद पता नहीं हालात ऐसे हो गए कि मैं गाने लग गई. गाना नहीं चाहती थी, फिर भी गाने लग गई. पता नहीं नसीब क्या चीज है, कुछ पता नहीं, अब हमको नहीं पता होता. फिर मैं गाने लग गई, फिर गाती गई.
और आज तक गा रही हैं आप?
जी हाँ, आज तक गा रही हूँ. बीच में बहुत बार सोचा कि अभी छोड़ दूं, अभी बच्चे हो गए हैं तो छोड़ दूं. फिर नहीं, तकदीर ही ऐसा झटका मारती थी कि गाना ही पड़ता था. तो फिर से गाने लग गई, और गाती रही हूँ और गाती रहूंगी.
गाती रही हैं और गाती रहेंगी. और आज जब हम बात कर रहे थे, आप अब दुबई जाएंगी, अपना जो 90th बर्थडे है वो आप सेलिब्रेट करेंगी एक शो के जरिए, और ये 3 घंटे का शो होगा. और आप गाने वाले ना ही सिर्फ अपने गाने, पर आपके जो फेवरेट सॉन्ग्स है जो आपने नहीं दर्शाए हैं, आपने नहीं गाए, वो भी आप गाएंगी. सो अ ट्रिब्यूट टू द स्टार्स, ट्रिब्यूट टू द परफॉर्मर्स ऑफ all of these years that you've been performing. तो ये आपने कैसे सोचा कि मैं अब तक परफॉर्म करूंगी और अपने 90th बर्थडे को इस तरह सेलिब्रेट करूंगी?
हर नामवर आदमी के पीछे कोई ना कोई होता है. जैसे लोग कहते हैं कि मेरी बीवी मेरा क्या बोलते हैं, एक्सप्रेशन देती है जी. हाँ, और वैसे मेरा बेटा है जो मेरा बैकबोन है, वो मुझे खड़ा रखता है. नहीं तो मैं कभी का मतलब वो हो जाती थी, नर्वस हो जाती, कभी कुछ होते, वो होने नहीं देता है. और ये जो शो है वो उसी का बनाया हुआ है कि उसकी माँ, उसको मैं इतनी प्रिय हूँ कि उसने बोला 90th बर्थडे कोई गाता नहीं है इस उम्र में, और तुम गा रही हो अभी तक, तो मैं जोरदार शो करूंगा, लाइक ब्रॉडवे.
like Broadway.
Yeah.
And that is the tribute that her son, who's here with us, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to him as well. Thank you so much for giving all of us an opportunity to basically see her in action, in live action once again. आशा जी, आपसे मैं ये पूछना चाहूंगी, मैंने आपका एक पुराना इंटरव्यू देखा था, ये 1991 की बात है, और 1991 में आपसे जब पूछा गया था कि आप कैसे देखती है अपने सफर को, और आपने कहा था, मैं जैसे बिल्डिंग की 7वीं मंजिल होती है उस पे बैठ के देखती हूँ कि एक डिस्पैशनेट ऑब्जर्वर की तरह देखती हूँ कि मेरा किस प्रकार का सफर रहा है। आज 90 इयर्स ऑन आप किस प्रकार से अपने जर्नी और अपने सफर को देखती हैं?
असल में देखा जाए तो ये भी हो सकता है कि आदमी कुड़ जाए कि कितना मैंने दुख सहा है, कितना मैंने कुछ किया है, ये वो नहीं करके मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि वाह, इतना कुछ पार करके मैं आई हूं, आज इतना पार करके आई हूं कि किसी औरत के लिए नारी शक्ति है, शिव है, शक्ति नहीं है तो शिव भी नहीं है, वो शव हो जाता है। तो शक्ति जो है वो हर औरत में है, हर औरत उसको पहचानती नहीं है। अगर वो अपनी शक्ति जान जाए तो वो बहुत काम कर सकती है। मैं आपको बताती हूँ कि मैं पढ़ी लिखी नहीं हूँ, इतने साल मैं सब मेरा कारोबार चला रही हूँ, मतलब बच्चे बड़े होने तक। कितना मुश्किल है कि एक औरत, अकेली औरत, 3 बच्चों को बड़ा करना, उनको स्कूल भेजना, उनके लिए खाना पकाना, उनके कपड़े देखना, उनको क्या संस्कार देने हैं, क्या नहीं करना है, ये सब देखते हुए फिर दिन रात काम करना है, रिकॉर्डिंग में जाना है 10 बजे, रात के 2 बजे आना है। ऐसे मैंने लाइफ झेली है। फिर उसमें भी लोगों के, आपको जानती हैं, ताने वाने सुनना, उसको भी हंस के मजा लेके ताने सुनना करना, और जैसे इग्नोर करना दुनिया को, ऐसे इग्नोर किया मैंने, और मैंने अपना काम करती गई।
आपने जो कहा है कि दुनिया वाले तो बोलते रहेंगे, दुनिया का काम है बोलना, लेकिन आपने इग्नोर किया और आपको जो करना था वो आपने किया। आपने शक्ति की बात की और कहा कि सब नारियों में ये शक्ति होती है, पहचानने की थोड़ी बहुत देरी लग जाती है। आपको कब पता चला? क्योंकि आपने कहा यू वर अ सिंगल मदर, आपने फाइनेंशियली अपना जो थे अपनी इंडिपेंडेंट थी काफी बिगनिंग से, तो आपने ये जो शक्ति थी, आपको कब ये महसूस हुआ कि मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ?
काफी लेट हुआ, मतलब 19-20 साल में ये मुझे लगा कि मैं, जब मुझे मतलब अलग हो गई, कर दिया, फिर उसके बाद मैं अकेली खड़ी थी सड़क पे, और मैं सोच रही थी मैं अब कहाँ जाऊं, क्या करूं। तो एक अपना गला ही अपने साथ है, तो फिर आगे काम चलाती रही, और बच्चों को लेके कैसे मैंने क्या जमीन, कैसे फ्लैट लिया, क्या किया, काफी लंबा मामला है, तो ये मैं छोड़ देती हूँ। लेकिन मैंने बच्चों को बहुत अच्छे तरीके से बड़ा किया, क्योंकि मैं काम करती थी उनके लिए। मुझे अगर कोई पूछे कि तुम किस लिए काम करती हो, तो मैं बोलती थी मुझे पैसा चाहिए, क्योंकि मुझे बच्चों को बड़ा करना है, सिर्फ गाने से खाना नहीं मिलता है, तो मुझे पैसा चाहिए था, क्योंकि पैसा बिल्कुल नहीं था मेरे पास। तो पैसे के लिए मैंने काम किया, जो काम मिला वो करती गई। इस बेटे के बाप ने मुझसे कहा था कि दाने फेंकते जाओ, कभी ना कभी पेड़ आएगा ही आएगा, कोई ना कोई पेड़ आएगा, ये उन्होंने कहा था। और एक बात कही थी कि अगर खाना नमक के बगैर हो तो नमक के बगैर खा लेना, लेकिन पड़ोस में जाके नमक नहीं मांगना। तो ये 2 चीजें मैंने संभाली। उन 2 चीजों से मैंने किसी के सामने कभी भी हाथ नहीं फैलाया, काम के लिए भी नहीं हाथ फैलाया, और काम करती गई। बस मैं बोलती थी कि पैसा मिले चाहे नहीं मिले, मैं गाऊंगी जरूर, कोई ना कोई पेड़ जरूर आएगा। तो ऐसा ही हुआ, कोई ना कोई अचंभे से गाना चल पड़ा, और फिर आशा भोसले सबको पता हो गई।
Getting some more updates now coming in after the talks stalemate. Masses of giant Pentagon warplanes are now rushing to the Middle East. This is the information that is being collected through open source data suggesting there is movement of multiple globe masters towards the Middle East. I want to go across to my colleagues Akash and Siddhant now joining us from our newsroom. They're going to give us a little bit more perspective on both the military aspect plus, of course, what's happening on ground in this region. Akash, of course, tracking the military aspect of it. Akash, what's the information? How much movement is happening, especially when we talk about US aircrafts and others?
Right. So you see, Shivani, we have 7 to 8 aircraft. In fact, one of the aircraft here on flight radar data as well, where the US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. C-17 is a heavy lifter that can carry heavy equipment. In fact, inside of that particular plane, you can in fact carry, air defenses or offensive platforms. And these planes, 6 to 7 planes, are on the move as of now. And open source data is somewhere indicating that these planes are moving towards Middle East. For example, this particular plane is moving towards Egypt for now, but we still don't know the final destination.
And do we have an idea of how much buildup already is there for the US?
Of course, 2 to 3 aircraft carriers are very much there. Carrier battle group, it means the frigates and destroyers are very much accompanying those aircraft carriers. Then on aircraft carrier, you have got multiple planes. Then you can send fighter planes as well. You have got bases.
And you've got those elite teams that were already sent?
Exactly. So other than the troops, that are very much there present in those warships, so you have got these warships that have got some sort of capabilities. So they have got carrier battle group, of course they have fighters, and then they have the bases in the Gulf nations. So they can in fact have multiple resources, and they can use those resources.
So we've got some more updates coming in. This is the Globemaster track, of course, that Akash has sought for us from flight radar. This is obviously showing the movement of the Globemaster moving towards Egypt, basically towards the Gulf and Middle East area. But before I go to our next breaking, Akash, just now we brought news about how Trump is trumpeting the fact that he has a trump card, and that could be a naval blockade. Yeah. How will it work in this region? This is a very interesting point that I wanted to discuss with you. How will a naval blockade work in a region like this?
Right. So, Shivani, first of all, naval blockade is one of the conventional war strategies, that opt. In general, we have seen in the past that, in Venezuela, in fact, US, in fact, sent multiple, warships, and they somewhere, block the inbound and outbound trade. For the country. In this particular case, possibly to gain control over Strait of Hormuz, they can in fact send multiple warships that will somewhere block the area. And this is what, in fact, the US president is somewhere indicating that a blockade would be considered in case these talks are failing. We still don't know as to what is going to happen, because we know that they haven't reached any sort of agreement on conclusion. In fact, Siddhant is very much here. Yeah. Siddhant, we have got this particular post from US president. Yeah. How do you see the current condition, and what is going to happen? What is your assessment?
Of course, we can expect more military buildup in the region, and both sides are saying that there is room left for diplomacy. Offers have been made. Diplomacy will continue. Pakistan says that they will continue facilitating talks, so on and so forth. But
in the land of Ma Durga and Ma Kali, gender makes not just a social but also a political statement. Over the years, a number of women have been increasing in Bengal, and more than 50% or around 50% of it are voters, which is why they matter. When Mamata Banerjee became the first woman chief minister, she had that edge. But RJ Kar, Sandeshkhali have now started raising question marks over this factor as well. It's a vote bank which now even the BJP wants to tap. I'm trying to buy the Shaka Pola, which is a symbol of a Bengali woman's marital life. It's also about fertility. It's also about energy as well. Will this woman factor be the clincher? Will this make the difference and be the cutting edge? That's what we're going to try and make out over the next half hour.
It's this almost 50% vote bank of women which both the BJP and the TMC are eyeing. 15 years ago, Mamata Banerjee stormed to power on the back of multiple schemes for women like Lokhit Bhandar, Konyashri, Shastu Shati. This time, the amount for Lokhit Bhandar, which puts money directly into the bank accounts of women, has been raised to rupees 1,500 per month. But in a state where the hunt for a job often ends in despair, can 1,500 rupees a month be a swing factor?
হ্যাঁ নিশ্চয়ই, চাকরি তো দরকার, পড়াশোনা করেছে, চাকরি তো দরকার, ওই সাময়িক টাকার জন্য কি আর চলে?
এখানে মহিলারা ভালোই সেফ আছে, দিদি আছে আর মহিলারা খুব সেফ আছে, আমাদের কোনো ভয় নেই এখানে।
Safety of women is the big issue being raised by the BJP. We visited Archival Hospital over a year and a half after a young doctor was raped and murdered. Mamata Banerjee's initial silence on the horrific case triggered massive protests.
The rape of a young girl at the Archival Hospital was one of the most horrific ones, and one thing which is going to be reminded to the people not just of Bengal but across the country. The issue of women's safety at work is something which is still being talked much about. It's also an incident which is deeply etched in the memories of the people of the state. A state which has been proud of the fact that women have empowerment, whether it's on the ground or whether it has work. It was also one of the toughest periods for Mamata Banerjee's claim that women are safe under a woman chief minister. As the protest site remains empty, this silence is also raising multiple questions. Questions which the BJP certainly wants the people of Bengal to ask of the Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee. And that's also one reason why the girl, Abhaya, as she's come to be called, her mother has been given a ticket by the BJP to constantly remind the voters that you have to ask the tough questions and don't let the issue of safety of women at work ever be compromised.
BJP doesn't want Bengalis to forget the lapses of the state government. The party has given a ticket to Abhaya's mother, Ratna Devnath, who is contesting from Panihati.
You know, one of the main issues which are also going to become the focal point as far as the battle for West Bengal is that of women power, Nari Shakti. When we talk about women's reservation, we also talk about the safety of women. And that is where the BJP wants to make a dent for Mamata Banerjee's government. I'm in fact being joined by Ratna Devnath, and she's the mother of Abhaya. One of the most saddest incidents which took place in Kolkata at Archival. সবথেকে প্রথমে কথা হচ্ছে এই যে লড়াইটা আপনি লড়ছেন, আপনার মেয়ের জন্য লড়ছেন,
মেয়ের ন্যায় বিচারের জন্য লড়ছে।
আপনার আশা আছে কি যদি বিজেপি সরকার এখানটা আসে তাহলে উনি ন্যায় পাবে?
ন্যায় তো আদালত দেবে, বিজেপি সরকার আসবে সেটা আমার মেয়ে তো আর ফিরে আসবে না ঘরে, অন্য কোনো মেয়ে যেন এরকম না হয়, কোনো বাবা মা যেন আমাদের মতো সেই দিনকার মতো পরিস্থিতি ফেস করতে না হয়, সেই জন্যই আমি রাজনীতিতে এসেছি।
আপনি কি রাজনীতিতে আসতে চাইছিলেন? আপনি এই জন্য আসছেন কেন? আপনি চান কি মেয়ের ন্যায় হোক এই জন্য?
শুধু মেয়ের ন্যায় নয়, আরো মেয়েদের সুরক্ষা, মায়েদের সুরক্ষা, শিক্ষা, সবকিছুই আছে।
আমি একটা ছবি নিয়ে আপনাকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাই, এখানটা লেখা আছে আভায়াজ হোম, এটা আপনি আপনার মেয়ের নামে রেখেছেন এখানটা?
হ্যাঁ,
ওনার কথা মনে পড়ে?
আমি তো মা না, সবসময় একটা মশাল আমার বুকে জ্বলছেই।
আমার অনেক লোকরা বলে কি এখানটার মুখ্যমন্ত্রী মহিলা, আর মহিলা মুখ্যমন্ত্রী হওয়ার নাতে মেয়েরা এখানটায় ওদের কোনো চিন্তার ব্যাপার নেই।
আমার মেয়ে যখন হসপিটালে তার কাজের জায়গায় খুন হয়েছে, ধর্ষণ হয়েছে, হসপিটালের কেউ কিছু জানতে পারলো না, এটা যেমন অবিশ্বাস্য, তেমনি মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বলেছেন রাতে মহিলা ডাক্তারদের ডিউটি দেওয়া হবে না। আমার মেয়ের ঘটনার পরেই বলেছেন। তো ওনার মাথায় এতটুকুও বুদ্ধি নেই যে উনি রাতে যদি মেয়েরা ডিউটি না করে, নার্সরা ডিউটি না করে, যারা পুলিশ আছে তারা যদি রাত্রে ডিউটি না করে তো কি হবে?
প্রধানমন্ত্রী বলেছেন কি একটা উমেন রিজার্ভেশন বিল 16, 17, 18 এপ্রিলে হবে দিল্লিতে, পার্লামেন্টে হবে, যেখানে মহিলাদের আরো জায়গা দেওয়া হবে, পার্লামেন্টে হোক বা লেজিসলেচার। আপনি কি মনে করেন যে মহিলাদের যদি একটা পলিটিক্যাল পাওয়ার, রাজনৈতিক একটা পাওয়ার পারে, ওটা ভালো হবে আমাদের জন্য?
অবশ্যই ভালো হবে।
আপনি চান এই বিলটা এরকম পাস
হ্যাঁ
CNN News 18 revisited Sandeshkhali over a year after it became the site of political unrest in Bengal.
আপনি কি একটু বলবেন? আমি মুখ দেখাবো না। কেন ভয় লাগে?
না না ভয়ের জন্য না, বলবো না।
কেন তুমি তো সন্দেশখালীতে যেটা হয়েছিল সেটা নিয়ে বলতে চাও না? হয়েছিল না?
ছিলাম না তখন।
একটু তো বলে দাও, আমি মুখ দেখাবো না, এমনি থেকে বলো। আচ্ছা আপনি কি শুনেছিলেন?
আমি কিছু শুনিনি।
So basically what she's saying is that she never heard anything, she was not even here. সন্দেশখালীতে হয়েছিল সেটা বলতে
না
না
না না না না না না না না।
The eerie silence has the muffled screams of many women who complained of sexual assault. By now, suspended TMC leader Shah Jahan Sheikh and his henchmen. While Shah Jahan Sheikh is now in jail, the fear remains. Many attempts to make women speak was met with failure.
Despite the fact that the Mamata Banerjee government keeps on saying that all is very well over here, there is a palpable fear on the ground. And the fear is that should the TMC come back to power, who really is going to then look after them? Will they be a victim of the deep-rooted politics of Shah Jahan Sheikh, who may not be here, but his presence is very ominous, including that of the Trinamool Congress?
শোনো বাবা, আমার শরীর ভালো না।
না শুনলে আমি গাড়ি তো বলুন তো। She doesn't want to say anything because she's saying she's not well. Let me make another attempt to speak to two of these ladies in Sandeshkhali. Till now it's been very difficult to get anyone to speak. এখানটাই তো থাকেন না?
হ্যাঁ থাকে, আমি জানি না।
এত লোকরা, অনেক লোকরা কমপ্লেন করেছিল, তা জানতে পারেননি? ভয় লাগে?
না ভয় বলতে কি, আমি সেদিন ছিলামই না বাড়িতে।
She stays here, but that day she was not at home. Almost every voice seems to be saying the same thing to me, is that we were not here, or we have not heard of any such incident. Well, let's try our luck with some more women over here. হয়েছিল না 1-1.5 বছর আগে, ওটাকে নিয়ে কিছু বলবেন? জানো না?
সেসবগুলো তো সত্যি ঘটনা না, সেগুলো তো অ্যাকচুয়ালি ভুল।
ভুল?
হ্যাঁ, কিছু কিছু ক্ষেত্রে ভুল।
So what she's saying is that it's a mixed bag. She said she was not there. There were some cases of women being raped, but many of it is not true. But she also told me that she's going to cast her vote and there's nothing to be scared about.
কথা বলতে পারি না।
কেন? বারণ?
না না, বারণ টারণ কিচ্ছু না।
ভয় লাগে?
আমি বলতে পারি না কথা তো।
কি জানতে পেরেছে, কি হয়েছিল?
ও তো বলতে পারবো না, মূর্খ সুখের লোক ভুলে যায়।
She does finally admit that there has been cases, and when I did ask her that are you scared, she said of course I'm scared, and again she lapses into a silence. It's very clear that I think the silence tells the story of Sandeshkhali, that even after more than a year and a half, it's not business as usual. There are those memories which are etched in the minds of many of these women. I guess ignorance is bliss is the kind of policy that they have adopted. We tried to get some voices from here, from Sandeshkhali team through the day, but you know, it's been a year and a half, yet another election. Will it have an impact on the elections or the battle for Bengal? That's the big question. তারপর এখনো কি ভয় পায় লোকরা? কিছু হয়েছে?
না
লোক আর ভয় পায় না কেন? ন্যায় হয়েছে ওদের সাথে? বলতে চান না?
কি বলো, কিছু হয়নি, সেইগুলো তো সব মিথ্যে মিথ্যে করে।
আরে সবাই বলছে হয়েছে। She said nothing happened, people are just telling lies. After all, it's a question of their survival, I guess.
Who will erase this fear? BJP says they will. And they are questioning how a woman chief minister can allow such a situation in the first place.
We've been seeing the Trinamool Congress comments. Why would you say that Bengal is not safe under a woman chief minister like Mamata Banerjee?
What has Mamata Banerjee done to make Bengal women feel safe? When it was Kamduni, be it Park Street, everywhere the victim, she was blamed. She didn't even spare the minor victim of Hashkhali. She character assassinated that poor child who was dead, gone, and she wouldn't even come back for in her defense. Mamata Banerjee said whether she was pregnant, whether she was having a love affair, or whether she was intoxicated. Can you imagine? Whereas Mamata Banerjee, she talks about Manipur, she talks about Hathras, Unnao, and other places, but she's least bothered about when such things happen in West Bengal. Imagine what happened to Abhaya, Archival victim. Imagine her mom, she's being heckled every day during the campaign. So Mamata Banerjee, a woman chief minister, if she's saying that a woman after the Durgapur rape has occurred, if she's saying that women are not supposed to go out after 8, so this is what we are living in a Sharia age. Sharia law is prevalent in West Bengal. So Mamata Banerjee, despite of being a woman, she has made no efforts to make us women feel safe in West Bengal.
BJP's campaign is Archival, Sandeshkhali, Kamduni and Park Street to make the point that Bengal women are not safe here under Mamata Banerjee.
It's true. Abhaya should not have happened. Of course it should not happen. It's true that we are very upset about the other cases like you mentioned, or Kamduni, or even the Park Street. And this we have dealt with. You see, this state, if you look at it, if there are NCRB data, it's not something which we have made up the data, the statistics. If you really examine and look at the statistics, because it is a political statement from a political party, then I think there is a competition amongst the BJP ruled states as to who's going to be first, second, third when it comes to crimes against women.
Concern over safety and jobs for women are the twin challenges for Mamata Banerjee this time.
What is it that young Bengali women want? What is it that you're looking for?
We are looking for proper jobs, security, freedom, and everything that we are bothering from everywhere.
What is it that a young Bengali woman is looking for?
Freedom, independence, and obviously
independence. That's what everyone is talking about. Independence from at home.
In general, like the freedom of going out at night safely without being concerned about the various kinds of crimes that are going on in Bengal right now.
Education, and after education we can land a safe job, a secure job. Amra boli shikkha sheshe chakri chai. We want sensitized women in politics. We just do not want female representation. We want females who understand females and not just say like women cannot go out after 10:30.
Safety first. Second is job opportunities, equal job opportunities. As we have already seen, our CM has said previously during the Archival incident that women should not go outside at night. But we as independent working, studying women, we really need ourselves to be feeling that's secure enough to go outside, do our jobs.
In Bengal, it will be a competition between 1500 Lokhi Bhandar versus 3000 of BJP's in Sankalp Patra. In Delhi, the centre is moving to advance the rollout of the Women's Reservation Bill. Will this be a factor in the battle to win over Bengal's women? PM Modi is keen to ensure that women don't have to wait for long to get politically empowered.
हमें विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य हासिल करना है तो हमें हमारी मातृशक्ति को, हमारी नारी शक्ति को, उनके पूर्ण सामर्थ्य का राष्ट्र के विकास में जोड़ना ही होगा। हमने कुछ वर्ष पहले नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम पारित किया था और सभी राजनीतिक दलों ने सहमति से किया था और सबकी इच्छा है कि 2029 में जब लोकसभा के चुनाव होंगे तब हमारे देश की नारी शक्ति को जनप्रतिनिधि के रूप में लोकसभा में, विधानसभाओं में 33% स्थान मिलना ही चाहिए। पिछले कुछ दिनों से हम सभी राजनीतिक दलों से बातचीत कर रहे हैं। ज्यादातर दलों ने समर्थन भी दिया है। एक बहुत ही सकारात्मक माहौल दिख रहा है। 16, 17, 18 संसद में इस विशेष काम के लिए जब हम मिल रहे हैं तो इसको पारित करें और सब मिल करके इसका जश्न मनाएं।
The mainstay of the vote bank of the Trinamool Congress has always been the women power. In fact, she rose to power on this whole high point, and only a woman chief minister can understand the problem of women of Bengal. Feisty, aggressive, ambitious, that's been the image of our land, which is known for its Ma, Durga and Kali. Well, the BJP certainly hopes that a women reservation bill is something that they can pitch forward together as yet another attempt to win over these Lokhis of Bengal.
Starting April 6th, there will be a 3-day parliament session on the amendment to Women's Reservation Bill. This is to ensure that reservation does not have to wait for the delimitation process to be completed. But the opposition smells a conspiracy. They say the bill is linked to the upcoming elections in Bengal and aimed at helping BJP tap into the 50% women voters in the state.
The women reservation bill is being flaunted by the Prime Minister as a big achievement for as far as women are concerned. Does the Trinamool Congress agree?
You see, even before the law was in place, though it is yet to be implemented, Mamata Banerjee has implemented it as the chairperson of a political party. So you have 40% women Trinamool Congress MPs in parliament, all right? And also equally the highest representation in the last Vidhan Sabha in Bengal too. She gives out tickets to a large proportion of women, and of course it exceeds any of the political parties. She has always prioritized women to be in political leadership or political representations. In fact, for that matter, when we talk about women's safety, even the Aparajita bill, which was passed in the legislature, West Bengal, so it has a mandate. It is there lying with the Honorable Rashtrapati ji. Why is it not being signed? If those who talk about women's safety, which you just said, then they should actually allow that Aparajita bill to go through. After all, an elected government of a state has sent this, but no. So that is also there. And even the women's reservation bill, we feel it's now under pressure that BJP is bringing it up in parliament. It was initially linked with delimitation, linked with the census of the country. Now under pressure, they have kind of delinked it from the delimitation exercise, and they feel that no, women have to be looked at. After all, 5 states are there going to vote now. So now you are, they've shifted their strategy and trying to say that no, we're going to pass it very soon. We're going to implement it very soon. Otherwise, it was not going to be implemented even in 2029.
The BJP wants to flaunt the fact that they were able to do what the UPA couldn't. Under Sonia Gandhi, the women's reservation bill was cleared only in Rajya Sabha, but lack of consensus amongst allies left the bill hanging in Lok Sabha.
Women reservation bill, would you give your vote to that? It's coming up in the census.
I have voted for it. And I was extremely proud when, as a part of the cabinet, I saw the Prime Minister fulfill a promise that this country had made to women for decades. I, as a political activist, as a BJP Karyakarta, never imagined that I would witness this firsthand. And today I compliment the Prime Minister for ensuring that it is speedily implemented. And my hope is that the opposition will listen to the Prime Minister and join forces to ensure the implementation as soon as possible.
Congress gives credit for the women reservation bill to Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. Legitimate in the sense that she got it to Rajya Sabha.
Let's be very honest that if the UPA had the intention of passing such a legislation, they would have when they had power. Today, you cannot deny the historical legislative administrative fact that's the Narendra Modi government that ensured the passage of the bill in both houses of parliament. So instead of trying to curry favor with an electorate which is extremely aware of political realities of the country, what would augur the Congress well is to today support the Prime Minister when he wants to implement it for the next Lok Sabha election.
So there is this amendment to a women's reservation bill. The Prime Minister spoke about it today also as well. TMC has dismissed it off as an election prop.
This women reservation had been pending for so many years, since independence. So it was Narendra Modi and NDA government who has taken the initiative to give reservation the long due reservation which women deserve in India. So me being a woman, I feel totally humbled. I feel that at last somebody spoke on our behalf. At last the Honorable Prime Minister has thought about the women of West Bengal. Whereas Mamata Banerjee, on the other hand, or Trinamool, so as to say, all they can do is to, belittle everything, all the projects. Okay, if they want women development, apart from giving away Lokhir Bhandar, what have they done?
They say that they've given tickets to a maximum number of women MPs and MLAs, unlike the BJP.
How many have been inducted in her cabinet? How many meaty positions have been given to the cabinet? So I think Mamata Banerjee, there's a saying in Hindi, "Hathi ke daat dikhane ke kuch hote aur khane ke kuch hote." The Mamata Banerjee is the perfect example of that. When she was with the UPA government, while she was enjoying the cabinet role of a rail minister, tell me one single woman MP who was given the ministerial berth, or probably Trinamool did not demand for it. So it was BJP, it was NDA, it was Narendra Modi ji who has thought about the women of West Bengal or India and given them the much awaited due.
If there is something which has stood like a rock for the TMC, it is women voters. PM Modi wants to change this, so highlighting unsafe conditions, the need for jobs, and now women's empowerment through the reservation bill is BJP's mantra in the battle for Bengal.
There's this whole talk about a women reservation bill being changed and more women coming into it. Do you think that helps? Do you think it's a good thing if more and more women join politics, or we get a political empowerment?
Of course, that is a good thing if more women are joining politics. If women empowerment is very important in the society.
Over the last half hour, we tracked the journey of women power in West Bengal. As the battle for the state begins, both the sides, which the BJP as well as the Trinamool Congress, are playing the woman power. And why not? It accounts for around 50% of the vote bank. The centre is mulling and in fact is going to bring out an amendment to a women reservation bill. Will that make the difference? Will that give that cutting edge to the BJP? Or will the Trinamool's card that they have the longest running woman chief minister make a difference to them? With Chintan Devpuri in Kolkata, Pallavi Ghosh.
Some more updates now coming in after the talks stalemate. Masses of giant Pentagon warplanes are now rushing to the Middle East. This is the information that is being collected through open source data suggesting there is movement of multiple globe masters towards the Middle East. I want to go across to my colleagues Akash and Siddhant now joining us from our newsroom. They're going to give us a little bit more perspective on both the military aspect plus, of course, what's happening on ground in this region. Akash, of course, tracking the military aspect of it. Akash, what's the information? How much movement is happening, especially when we talk about US aircrafts and others?
Right. So you see, Shivani, we have 7 to 8 aircraft. In fact, one of the aircraft here on flight radar data as well, where the US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. C-17 is a heavy lifter that can carry heavy equipment. In fact, inside of that particular plane, you can in fact carry, air defenses or offensive platforms. platforms. And these planes, 6 to 7 planes, are on the move as of now. And open source data is somewhere indicating that these planes are moving towards Middle East. For example, this particular plane is moving towards Egypt for now, but we still don't know the final destination.
And do we have an idea of how much buildup already is there for the US?
Of course, 2 to 3 aircraft carriers are very much there. Carrier battle group. It means that frigates and destroyers are very much accompanying those aircraft carriers. Then on aircraft carrier, you have got multiple planes. Then you can send fighter planes as well. You have got bases.
And you've got those elite teams that were already sent?
Exactly. So other than the troops, that are very much there present in those warships, you have got these warships that have got some sort of capabilities. So they have got carrier battle group. Of course, they are fighters, and then they have the bases in the Gulf nations. So they can, in fact, have multiple resources, and they can use those resources.
So, we've got some more updates coming in. This is the Globemaster track, of course, that Akash has, sought for us from Flight Radar. This is obviously showing the movement of the Globemaster moving towards Egypt, basically towards the Gulf and Middle East area. But before I go to our next breaking, Akash, just now we brought news about how Trump is trumpeting the fact that he has a Trump card, and that could be a naval blockade. How will it work in this region? This is a very interesting point that I wanted to discuss with you. How will a naval blockade work in a region like this?
Right. So, Shivani, first of all, naval blockade is one of the conventional war strategies, that Europe in general, we have seen in the past that, in Venezuela, in fact, US, in fact, sent multiple, warships, and they somewhere, block the inbound and outbound trade. For the country. In this particular case, possibly to gain control over Strait of Hormuz, they can in fact send multiple warships that will somewhere block the area. And this is what, in fact, the US president is somewhere.
Good afternoon. Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to CNN News 18. I'm Kritsween Valia. Top focus story is going to be how the Islamabad talks collapsed. No deal inside, with each side blaming the other. So we'll start with that story. Talks over and there's no deal. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, the US and Iran have walked away without an agreement. And both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons. But Iran is pushing back hard. Iran accuses Washington of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged: Iran's right to enrich uranium and the future of the Strait of Hormuz. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There's no breakthrough, no roadmap, and no clarity on what comes next, which raises big questions. Does no deal now mean escalation? Could we see a return of strikes? And is diplomacy running out of road? For now, the talks have failed, and the standoff is back where it started, with more uncertainty than ever. Let's listen in first up to Vice President J.D. Vance, what he said, how he spoke of the American offer as the final offer, said now it's up to the Iranians to decide where this heads going forward. Listen in.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
So the Vice President says Iran has chosen not to accept America's terms, but there's also reports coming in. Chairman of the Iranian Parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Commission, Ibrahim Azizi, says, and I quote him here, "We simply do not trust the Americans." He says, how can a nation built on arrogance and colonialism respect others or honor its agreements? Let's listen into the brief comment that's coming from him too.
ما با آمریکایی‌ها بدبین هستیم. ما با آمریکایی‌ها اعتماد نداریم. آمریکایی ها قابل اعتماد نیستن. من فکر نمی کنم که با یک کشوری که روحیه استکباری و استعماری رو برای خودش این رو یک اصل میدونه، منافع ملت ها رو بخواد نادیده بگیره و سایر نظامات سیاسی، بشه گفت که این پایبند به عهد و پیمان میمونه.
So far there's been no agreement as far as talks in Islamabad are concerned, and all of the stakeholders concerned, top officials have departed from Islamabad. But what does the future hold for the region? That's the big question, answers to which remain unknown. Remember, Siddhant is joining us here in the newsroom. Siddhant, an interesting comment coming in again from an Iranian official. The sense that one gets from the coverage of Iranian media and as they've been trying to project is that America has left them upset. Now, what do we make of the comments coming in from both the sides? J.D. Vance also categorically stated that we've put a good offer on the table, which has not been accepted by Iran.
Yeah, so, going by what both sides have been saying since morning, Kritzween, so Americans have to say that the ball is in Iran's court. Iran has to say that the ball is in America's court. Now, both sides were sticking to their initial plans, which were proposed and which were called workable at that point in time when ceasefire was announced. And in fact, Kritzween, we have been saying this, that these are very, very high bars for both sides to be coming to the negotiating tables. In fact, there were many clauses. If we talk about the Iranian proposal, Hormuz, nuclear enrichment, compensation, Lebanon conflict, so on and so forth. Now, going by what media reported, then only two of the clauses could be discussed properly, and there were major differences there between Americans and the Iranians. One was the Strait of Hormuz, and the other was the nuclear enrichment. And now, talks collapsed. Both sides are saying that there is still room left for the diplomacy. We are ready to come to the tables, but Iranians are saying ball is in America's court. America says ball is in Iran's court. Now, Pakistan says that they will. We are grateful that both sides have agreed for ceasefire, and they honored the invitation of Pakistan, came to Pakistan for the talks, and we will continue facilitating talks. So let's see. Perhaps everyone is waiting for President Trump's response on this.
The biggest sticking point appears to be enrichment of uranium, and I think the red line that the Vice President was referring to also does contain this one aspect that America is not going to give up on, it seems. Siddhant, stay on with us. There's more breaking news coming in. What really happens to the role that Pakistan so far has maintained in the negotiations between Washington and Tehran? It's a CNN News 18 exclusive. We're learning Pakistan has urged both the United States and Iran to uphold the ceasefire. Islamabad, we're learning, will continue to facilitate dialogues between the United States and Iran. This is a confirmation coming in from Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ashok Dar, who says Pakistan will continue to play the role for peace in the region. Siddhant continues to stay on with us here. Siddhant, there has been a big question mark on whether or not Pakistan was the right fit to really be the venue, the mediator that's going to be able to broker peace. And that question mark stays, especially given how so far there's no agreement. All stakeholders concerned have walked back to their respective countries. What is Pakistan now aiming to do? What kind of a strategy can they adopt to ensure that this doesn't turn out to be a greater egg in the face than it already is?
Look, definitely there was this. Many of these countries were not confident of Pakistan playing the role of the mediator. But then again, there were many countries, in fact, who supported Pakistan playing the role of mediator. In fact, Shehbaz Sharif received call from many of the heads of states and heads of governments across the globe, congratulating him and extending their support. But the problem here is that many believe that Pakistan doesn't have the strategic leverage, depth to do the heavy lifting. Being a mediator in the room, country needs to have the depth, that leverage with the other two countries, involved, participating in the mediation, which was somewhere lacking in this entire process. And in fact, as I said, the bars were too high for and these bars were set by both sides. They were too high. Iran on the very first day made it very clear that Hormuz is non-negotiable, compensation is non-negotiable, nuclear enrichment is non-negotiable, Lebanon is non-negotiable. Now Lebanon became the first sticking point ahead of the talks. In fact, Ghalibaf writes on X and says that Lebanon assurance came from Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and there cannot be any backtracking. So it any which ways the talks started not on the very very positive note because of the Lebanon conflict. Then Israel was nowhere part of this peace process. Israel continued the invasion of Lebanon.
Likelihood Israel will not be a part of peace talks if Pakistan continues to play as a mediator, because there's no diplomatic engagement that the two nations enjoy. So there's another question.
Israel has to say that they are ready to speak with the Lebanese side, but at the State Department in Washington DC, not in Islamabad. Or Israel also doesn't want Lebanon conflict to be the part of the negotiation in Islamabad. So as I said, that it started not at a very very positive note, and then Hormuz issue, enrichment issue, perhaps, and also very important. J.D. Vance made it very clear that it was not only his decision to be walking out of the room, but he was in touch with President Trump, Secretary Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and all others, and perhaps it was the combined decision of the Trump administration to return to DC without any breakthrough or conclusion.
Okay, Siddhant, stay on with us. There's another bit of breaking news coming in. Another CNN News 18 exclusive. We're learning that Iranian sources maintain that America's excessive demands in each of the rounds. So each of the rounds, each of the negotiation that was underway in Islamabad, they say this is what prevented the achievement of a common framework. It was America's excessive demands that have led to this roadblock, is what sources maintain. Iranian sources, of course, continue to highlight at the moment. Siddhant continues to stay on with us. Siddhant, that's what we've been discussing. Now, there is also a lot of confusion on what really constitutes the framework of the negotiations. Was it the 10-point plan which was put forth by Iran? Was it the 15-point plan that United States had first clearly laid out? So no one knows who is the one who's really holding fort here in terms of dictating terms of the negotiations.
So Manoj is reporting that Iranians have repeatedly presented new initiative and sought to invite the American side to realism. Now, America's excessive demands in each round prevented the achievement of common framework. Manoj says that, in fact, Manoj is reporting Iran-US talks in Islamabad end without agreement due to excessive US demands. Negotiations between Iran and the United States in Islamabad ended without an agreement. Iran refused concessions regarding the Strait of Hormuz and nuclear energy, peaceful nuclear energy. The Iranian team held meetings with the Pakistani army chief and prime minister before beginning talks with the US side. The negotiations lasted for more than 21 hours, during which Iran presented new initiatives to encourage the US to be more realistic, but US prevented reaching a common framework. Pakistan made significant efforts to hold another round of talks and exchange texts, but the negotiations concluded without the results. So there's no doubt that Pakistan wanted to give another chance, but the first round of negotiation, the second round of negotiation couldn't produce any results.
And what happens next, Siddhant? The biggest question now, we do keep putting out these breaking news updates that are trickling in slowly, and who could possibly continue to play a crucial role as far as these negotiations go. But what happens in the interim? So far, we know that, yes, an agreement has not been reached upon, but does that mean a total collapse, or have we hit the pause button in the larger scheme of things?
Well, to call it a total collapse will not be fair, Kritsween, because given Pakistan is ready to continue extending its services at the mediator. In fact, Iran and America, neither of this side is saying that talks are over or ceasefire has collapsed. So nobody is saying that ceasefire is over. All they're saying is that that there is no breakthrough from the talks in Islamabad. Americans are saying the ball is in Iranian court. Iranians are saying ball is in American court. So perhaps maybe some other countries could step forward. They can contribute to the efforts, and some more messages can be passed. And if both sides decide to come to the tables and come on the same page, perhaps there could be second round of talks. Neither of the sides deny going for the second round of talks. But for now, talks have collapsed, and there is a pause in this entire negotiation process.
Yeah. So the talks, in all likelihood, cannot take place, in the next 2-3 days. It's going to take some more time. Whether the 2-week ceasefire in the meanwhile will hold, all of those questions remain. So let's quickly put out these questions for you. What happens next? Thank you for that, Siddhant. Let's talk about the but obvious questions that comes to one's mind when we talk about the latest in mediation efforts which were carried out by Islamabad. If the first round is any indication, will stalemate exceed the 2-week ceasefire? That's the first big question that comes to one's mind. With Iran holding Hormuz chip, the biggest bargaining chip that Iran has in this entire conflict, what leverage does the United States have to counter it? After 21 hours of talks, can both sides claim any progress in negotiations? So far, we've seen both dictate terms to each other, say nothing concrete has come off the negotiations, the conversations that went on for 21 long hours in Islamabad. So what really does that mean? With the United States offering its best offer on table, as is being quoted by Washington, is the ball now in Iran's court? That's at least something that is being maintained by top officials of the Trump administration, that the answers to the entire confusion really lie with Iran at the moment. Was there a fundamental difference in approach to talks between both the sides? As we were discussing, me and Siddhant, what really was the framework based on which these negotiations were taking place in Islamabad? There was a little bit of confusion on whether or not Washington is in agreement to the 10-point plan which was set forth by Iran. Iranian media's assertions of excessive demands, does that mean or signal a deadlock in the mediation efforts? Because Iranian media has been speaking in one voice that America had put forth excessive demands, and that is exactly what's led to a collapse in the discussions. If the talks hinge on Iran's nuclear enrichment, which America has signaled very clearly, will Tehran make any concessions? Because so far, Tehran has made it amply clear that there is no question on walking back on their nuclear program, and the United States has stood firm on how it's not going to accept that. With no real progress made apart from talks, is war imminent? And this stems from whether or not the ceasefire holds the next 2 weeks, as was declared by US President Donald Trump. Next up, was Pakistan the right platform for dialogue with its inherent biases? Let's not forget the situation Pakistan found itself in. Does maintain a healthy relationship with the United States. Also, there was lots at stake for Pakistan, domestic pressure building really on Pakistan. So it was looking at mediating, it was looking at a clear breakthrough, something that it hasn't achieved. Let's not forget their pact with Saudi Arabia. A lot depends on how things proceed going forward as well. Let's also talk about how this is playing out overall. CNN's Nick Robertson tells us more about the failed talks so far. Take a look at this report.
So this is where we just heard from the vice president. No deal on the talks with Iran over 16 hours, an absolute marathon session through the night here in the center of Islamabad. It is dawn now. When the talks began on Saturday, it was late afternoon, and we've quite literally witnessed the sun go down and then the sun come up again. And what the vice president has said is that Iran he doesn't believe is giving that fundamental core agreement about its nuclear aspirations. He didn't say what happens next. He didn't talk about a specific end to the ceasefire. He didn't say if it's a return to war. But what he said the United States has done is given Iran its final and best offer. The ball, it appears, is in Iran's court to come up with answers now that it hasn't been able to through this marathon session of talks. The vice president also saying that through the night, he continually kept President Trump briefed and updated. He said that he'd come into these talks positive, but fundamentally, the vice president coming in looking, he hoped to get a relatively quick solution. The Iranians, with a much larger delegation and a much different negotiating style, coming into these talks with perhaps the aspiration, as they have done in the past, of talking, drilling down, getting what they wanted. Fundamentally, also, the Iranians believe that they still hold cards, that they can still control the Strait of Hormuz. And to them, that is something that is leverage, real leverage, they believe, and that it could get more than they were offered here in Islamabad.
There's more breaking news coming in. Momentum in the race to appoint next Bihar Chief Minister. We are learning BJP has appointed Shivraj Singh Chauhan as the observer. Do remember Bihar's longest serving Chief Minister Nitish Kumar took oath as Rajya Sabha member on Friday, and now there's more news coming in with the BJP appointing Shivraj Singh Chauhan as the observer. Payal Mehta joins us with more details. Payal, tell us about this latest development, and also when is it that the NDA is likely to announce the next chief minister? Take us through some of the Bihar CM faces that are also being spoken of in the inner circle.
Well, Christine, one thing is for a matter of fact that Nitish Kumar has moved to the Rajya Sabha. He's already taken oath as the Rajya Sabha member of parliament, currently serving as the caretaker chief minister of Bihar until the next appointee is made. Sometime next week is what we're given to understand. You can get more clarity as far as that is concerned, because this week everybody will be extremely busy with the 3-day parliament session that is being called in. So as a tradition, as a point which has to be made, Shivraj Singh Chauhan has been sent there as a central observer. He will of course be overseeing the electing of the leader of the legislative party whenever he goes to Patna, whenever he goes to Bihar, given the fact that it is a certainty that after many, many decades, BJP is all set to get its own chief minister in Bihar. The next chief minister in Bihar will be from the BJP. There are several names that have been doing the round. One of the prominent names that has been doing the round is that of Samrat Chaudhary, who is already the deputy chief minister, already the home minister of the state as well. Will he be anointed to the next position, or will there be a surprise? It remains to be seen. We don't have the second guess at this point in time, but that is of course, the curtains have been drawn on the illustrious career of Nitish Kumar, who has been the chief minister of Bihar for more than 10 terms, the career expanding 20 years and more. He moves to the upper house, although he's promised his political party that he will stay in touch with the people of Bihar and be more focused on their welfare, etc. But, there are certain times, when you have to actually do whatever is required to be done. So, of course, the leadership here in the center has decided, the parliamentary board has in fact decided to appoint Shivraj Singh Chauhan as a central observer. Let's just wait and see when that process kicks forth. But after the 14th is what we are given to understand, given the fact that Nitish Kumar is holding his last cabinet meeting, like our colleagues have been reporting, on the 14th of this month.
Okay, so Bihar can get its new chief minister any time after the 14th of this month. Thank you so much, Payal, for joining us with all those details trickling in. With that, it's time for us to head into a very quick break. News and updates continue on the other side.
Watch Brass Tacks with Nabila Jamal.
Some more updates now coming in after the talks stalemate. Masses of giant Pentagon warplanes are now rushing to the Middle East. This is the information that is being collected through open source data suggesting there is movement of multiple globe masters towards the Middle East. I want to go across to my colleagues Akash and Siddhant now joining us from our newsroom. They're going to give us a little bit more perspective on both the military aspect plus, of course, what's happening on ground in this region. Akash, of course, tracking the military aspect of it. Akash, what's the information? How much movement is happening, especially when we talk about US aircrafts and others?
Right. So you see, Shivani, we have 7 to 8 aircraft. In fact, one of the aircraft here on flight radar data as well, where the US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. C-17 is a heavy lifter that can carry heavy equipment. In fact, inside of that particular plane, you can in fact carry, air defenses or offensive platforms. And these planes, 6 to 7 planes, are on the move as of now. And open source data is somewhere indicating that these planes are moving towards Middle East. For example, this particular plane is moving towards Egypt for now, but we still don't know the final destination.
And do we have an idea of how much buildup already is there for the US?
Of course, 2 to 3 aircraft carriers are very much there. Carrier battle group. It means that frigates and destroyers are very much accompanying those aircraft carriers. Then on aircraft carrier, you have got multiple planes. Then you can send fighter planes as well. You have got bases.
And you've got those elite teams that were already sent?
Exactly. So other than the troops, that are very much there present in those warships, you have got these warships that have got some sort of capabilities. So they have got carrier battle group. Of course, they are fighters, and then they have the bases in the Gulf nations. So they can, in fact, have multiple resources, and they can use those resources.
So, we've got some more updates coming in. This is the Globemaster track, of course, that Akash has, sought for us from flight radar. This is obviously showing the movement of the Globemaster moving towards Egypt, basically towards the Gulf and Middle East area. But before I go to our next breaking, Akash, just now we brought news about how Trump is trumpeting the fact that he has a Trump card, and that could be a naval blockade. Yeah. How will it work in this region? This is a very interesting point that I wanted to discuss with you. How will a naval blockade work in a region like this?
Right. So, Shivani.
Welcome back. India's iconic Bollywood singer Asha Bhosle, who is best known for her soulful voice, is no more. She breathed her last at Mumbai's Breach Candy Hospital, where she was admitted last Saturday. And this was, remember, at the age of 92. With a career spanning over 8 decades, Asha Bhosle recorded thousands of songs across multiple languages, becoming one of India's most versatile and celebrated voices. We've wrapped up her beautiful journey in this special report by Shosha. Take a look.
Legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle, who was rushed to Breach Candy Hospital on Saturday, passed away on Sunday at the age of 92. According to reports, the iconic singer was taken to the hospital's emergency unit on April 11, where she later passed away. Early reports suggested she had suffered a cardiac arrest. As per reports, her son Anand Bhosle confirmed the news on Sunday afternoon, and the family has said that the last rites will be performed tomorrow.
मैं आनंद भोसले, मेरी माताजी श्रीमती आशा भोसले, इनका आज निधन हो चुका है। कल सुबह 11 बजे वो जहाँ रहती थी कासा ग्रैंड लोअर परेल, वहाँ पर जिनको अंतिम दर्शन लेने हैं, वो आप वहाँ आइए। और 4 बजे कल दोपहर को शिवाजी पार्क में इनके अंतिम संस्कार होंगे।
The news comes as a shock to fans, as her granddaughter Zanai Bhosle had earlier clarified that Asha Bhosle had been hospitalized due to extreme exhaustion and a chest infection. Sharing a picture with her grandmother, she wrote, "My grandmother, Asha Bhosle, due to extreme exhaustion and suffering a chest infection, has been admitted to hospital, and we request you to value our privacy. Treatment is ongoing and hopefully everything will be well, and we shall update you positively." Coming to her musical journey, Asha Bhosle was one of the most celebrated voices in Indian music, with a career spanning several decades. Over the years, she lent her voice to innumerable songs in multiple languages, including Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, and Gujarati.
Some more updates now coming in after the talks stalemate. Masses of giant Pentagon warplanes are now rushing to the Middle East. This is the information that is being collected through open source data, suggesting there is movement of multiple Globemasters towards the Middle East. I want to go across to my colleagues Akash and Siddhant, now joining us from our newsroom. They're going to give us a little bit more perspective on both the military aspect plus, of course, what's happening on ground in this region. Akash, of course, tracking the military aspect of it. Akash, what's the information? How much movement is happening, especially when we talk about US aircrafts and others?
Right. So you see, Shivani, we have 7 to 8 aircraft. In fact, one of the aircraft here on flight radar data as well, where the US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. C-17 is a heavy lifter that can carry heavy equipment. In fact, inside of that particular plane, you can in fact carry, air defenses or offensive platforms. And these planes, 6 to 7 planes, are on the move as of now. And open source data is somewhere indicating that these planes are moving towards Middle East. For example, this particular plane is moving towards Egypt for now, but we still don't know the final destination.
And do we have an idea of how much buildup already is there for the US?
Of course, 2 to 3 aircraft carriers are very much there. Carrier battle group, it means the frigates and destroyers are very much accompanying those aircraft carriers. Then on aircraft carrier, you have got multiple planes. Then you can send fighter planes as well. You have got bases.
And you've got those elite teams that were already sent?
Exactly. So other than the troops, that are very much there present in those warships, you have got these warships that have got some sort of capabilities. So they have got carrier battle group, of course they are fighters, and then they have the bases in the Gulf nations. So they can in fact have multiple resources, and they can use those resources.
So we've got some more updates coming in. This is the Globemaster track, of course, that Akash has sought for us from flight radar. This is obviously showing the movement of the Globemaster moving towards Egypt, basically towards the Gulf and Middle East area. But before I go to our next breaking, Akash, just now we brought news about how Trump is trumpeting the fact that he has a trump card, and that could be a naval blockade. How will it work in this region? This is a very interesting point that I wanted to discuss with you. How will a naval blockade work in a region like this?
Right. So, Shivani,
नमस्ते दिल्ली। अच्छा, एक बात बताइए, आप में से कितनों के साथ या कितनों के परिजनों, जान पहचान में किसी का कभी ना कभी एक्सीडेंट हुआ है? ये देखिए कितने सारे लोग हैं हम लोग, है ना? Whether we ride a car or we ride a bike, or whether we travel in a car or we travel via bike as pillion riders or back seat or co-passengers, हम सबको कोई ना कोई, हम किसी को जानते हैं या हमारे साथ कभी ना कभी कोई ना कोई क्रैश हुआ है। तो ये क्रैश क्यों हुआ, कभी आपने सोचा है कि किसकी गलती थी? कभी आप हमारी गलती मानते हैं? So these are small things which we need to be conscious about as people, as those who are going to use these roads. कुछ आंकड़े हैं जिस पर हम बात करेंगे, हम कैसे इसको अपनी ड्यूटी समझ सकते हैं, कंसिडरेशन से लेकर कर्तव्य तक कैसे आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, परवाह से कर्तव्य तक। तो इसी पर हम बात करेंगे। अब देखिए, आज के कार्यक्रम को शुरू करने का समय आ चुका है। Let's begin the proceedings. Please sit down, settle down. We are ready to start. We're going to go back to back without stopping. Over to the Anirudh Verma Collective.
निर्भय निर्गुण गुण रे गाऊंगा गाऊंगा, निर्भय निर्गुण गुण रे गाऊंगा गाऊंगा, निर्भय निर्गुण। निर्भय
के लिए और अपने लिए, धड़कन के लिए, जीवन के लिए एक वादा दोहराते रहेंगे। परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, सुरक्षित रहेंगे। परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, सुरक्षित रहेंगे। चलो रे यारो ध्यान से यारो संभल के चलो रे बाबू ध्यान से संभल के परवाह करेंगे, सुरक्षित रहेंगे।
थैंक यू सो मच। अब मैं मंच पर आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा उस व्यक्ति को जो इस सड़क सुरक्षा अभियान के स्तंभ है, जो व्यक्ति संसद में खड़े होकर ये कह सकता है कि जब तक पूरे देश के अंदर एक्सीडेंट्स की रेट्स, डेथ्स की रेट्स, क्रैशेस की रेट्स कम नहीं होती, तब तक मेरा काम अधूरा है। एज द लॉन्गेस्ट सर्विंग ट्रांसपोर्ट मिनिस्टर, उस व्यक्ति को हमारा सैल्यूट है। तो जोरदार तालियों के साथ उनका स्वागत कीजिए। यूनियन मिनिस्टर फॉर रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड हाईवेज श्री नितिन गडकरी जी, मैं आपसे आग्रह करूंगा आए मंच पर।
अपने लिए और अपने लिए धड़कन
एंड उनके साथ आज सड़क सुरक्षा पर बात करेंगे और आपके साथ चर्चा करेंगे, इंटरैक्ट करेंगे। एक ऐसे शख्स जो एक लेजेंडरी एक्टर ही नहीं है, लेकिन उन्होंने समाज के लिए, समाज कल्याण के लिए, सोशियोलॉजिकल बिहेवियरल चेंज के लिए बहुत काम किया है। हमेशा कहते हैं सत्यमेव जयते, आप तब से इनको जानते हैं जब से ये लगान भी वसूलते हैं, दुगना लगान भी, है ना। The one and only Amir Khan, please give him a big round of applause. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका for joining us on this call. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
गडकरी जी, मैं सड़क सुरक्षा को बहुत सीरियसली लेता हूँ अपने रियल लाइफ में। एक आध दफा मुझसे भी गलती हो जाती है, ऐसी नहीं है, मैं भी इंसान हूँ, लेकिन बाय एंड लार्ज आई एम वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट अबाउट सेफ्टी ऑन रोड्स। गडकरी जी, मैं शुरू करूंगा एक सवाल से कि 2011, 2012 और 2014 में हम लोगों ने एक प्रोग्राम किया था सत्यमेव जयते। इस बात को करीबन 15 साल हो गए और उसमें हमारा एक विषय था रोड एक्सीडेंट्स। मुझे याद है उस सिलसिले में हमने उस वक्त भी थोड़ी बात की थी। उस वक्त हमने पाया था कि हिंदुस्तान नंबर 1 है रोड एक्सीडेंट्स में और डेथ्स में। आई थिंक उस वक्त आंकड़ा था 1,40,000। आज भी हम अनफॉर्चुनेटली रोड एक्सीडेंट्स में सारे वर्ल्ड में हम नंबर 1 हैं। इसकी क्या मेन रीजंस क्या लगती हैं आपको गडकरी जी?
आप जो बात कह रहे हैं वो दुर्भाग्य से सही है। और जब विश्व के रोड सेफ्टी के प्रोग्राम में जाने का मौका मुझे मिला, अमेरिका में मिला, ब्राजील में मिला, तब जब विदेशी लोग इस बात का उल्लेख करते हैं कि सबसे ज्यादा रोड एक्सीडेंट इंडिया में होते हैं, तो मुझे बड़ा दुख भी होता है और दर्द भी होता है। हमारे देश में 2014 से मैं मंत्री बना हूं। साधारणतः अभी आज की स्थिति यह है कि 5 लाख एक्सीडेंट होते हैं, 1,80,000 मौतें होती है और करीब मरने वालों की जो संख्या है उसमें 18 से 44 एज ग्रुप में 66% लोग हैं
यंगस्टर्स,
यंग इंजीनियर, यंग डॉक्टर, ऐसे लोग हैं। देश का 3% जीडीपी का नुकसान होता है, वो तो बात अलग है क्योंकि जान बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। और इसके साथ जिन लोगों के हाथ पैर टूट जाते हैं वो परिवार बर्बाद हो जाता है, रोजी रोटी मिलना मुश्किल हो जाता है और उनके ऊपर जो एक प्रकार से जो बीतती होगी उसका हम लोग कल्पना भी नहीं कर सकते।
बिल्कुल सही।
इसके जो कारण है 4 है
जी।
पहला कारण है रोड इंजीनियरिंग, कि कहाँ फ्लाईओवर बनाना, कहाँ नहीं बनाना,
जी।
कहाँ अंडरपास देना, कहाँ नहीं देना,
रोड डिजाइन।
रोड डिजाइन इसमें काफी कमियां थी, अभी भी कभी कभी हमारे ध्यान में आता है। और अभी ये जो डिटेल प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट रोड के बनते हैं उसमें हम लोग उसको पूरी तरह सुधार कर रहे हैं
जी।
और जो ऐसे एक्सीडेंट के स्पॉट्स है जहाँ अनेक एक्सीडेंट होते हैं उसको हम ब्लैक स्पॉट कहते हैं, और हमने वो आइडेंटिफाई किए, हर साल करते हैं, और अभी हमने 40,000 करोड़ रुपए इसके ऊपर खर्चा किए हैं
जी।
दूसरी बात जो है वो ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग की है। हमारे देश में हमारी ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री, जब मैं मंत्री बना तो हम 7वें नंबर पे थे और इंडस्ट्री का साइज 14 लाख करोड़ था
जी।
आज हमारा साइज 23 लाख करोड़ है, और अब हमने जापान को भी पीछे डाल दिया है और हम 7वें नंबर से तीसरे नंबर पर आए हैं। तो पहले नंबर पर यूएसए है 79 लाख करोड़, सेकंड नंबर पर चाइना है 49 लाख करोड़, और इंडिया है 23 लाख करोड़। और मेरे मिनिस्ट्री का ये मिशन है कि हम 5 साल के अंदर हिंदुस्तान को विश्व में पहले नंबर पर लेकर जाएंगे। ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री में अल्टरनेटिव फ्यूल, बायोफ्यूल, इथेनॉल, मिथेनॉल, बायोडीजल, एलएनजी, इलेक्ट्रिक, हाइड्रोजन, इस सब पर गाड़ियां, ट्रक, बसेस आ रही है। अब प्रॉब्लम 2 ये ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग और रोड इंजीनियरिंग में काम हुआ। तीसरा इन्फोर्समेंट, हमने रोड सेफ्टी का बिल लाया, ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस से लेकर पूरी सिस्टम काफी डिजिटलाइज की। हमने अभी तक 200 से ज्यादा ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग सेंटर खोले हैं और देश में करीब 22 लाख ड्राइवरों की कमी है जी। ये रोजगार का बहुत बड़ा ये है। और अभी हमने तय किया है कि जो हमारे 120 एस्पिरेंट डिस्ट्रिक्ट है और 500 एस्पिरेंट ब्लॉक्स है जो सोशली, इकोनॉमिकली, एजुकेशनली बैकवर्ड है जी, या गरीबी, भूखमरी, बेरोजगारी है, वहां हम ओईएम जो है, जैसे बड़े बड़े ऑटोमोबाइल कंपनी के सहयोग से ये ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग सेंटर शुरू करेंगे और कम से कम अगले 5 साल में हम 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा युवाओं को रोजगार उपलब्ध करके देंगे जी। और चौथी बात जो सबसे बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, जिसमें आपका सहयोग चाहिए और जो ये कार्यक्रम लेने का उद्देश्य है, वो है ह्यूमन बिहेवियर। कानून के प्रति डर भी नहीं है और सम्मान भी नहीं है, हमारी सबसे बड़ी समस्या है। जैसे आपने बात कही, मैं आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दूंगा कि स्पीड कंट्रोल में चलना चाहिए, लेन डिसिप्लिन का पालन करना चाहिए, ओवरटेक करने की कोशिश नहीं करनी चाहिए, रेड सिग्नल होगा तो रुकना चाहिए, 2 व्हीलर पर जाते होंगे तो हेलमेट पहनना चाहिए, अगर आप कार में बैठे हो तो सीट बेल्ट लगानी चाहिए। केवल हेलमेट अगर पहनेंगे तो 50,000 लोगों की हम जान बचा सकते हैं जी। अगर सीट बेल्ट लगाएंगे तो 30,000 लोगों की जान बचा सकते हैं जी। और इसलिए जान है तो सब कुछ है। और अच्छी बात, हमने और एक अच्छी बात की जिसमें आपका और आप सबका सहयोग चाहिए कि अगर एक्सीडेंट होने के बाद लोगों के मन में यह डर है कि लफड़े में मत पड़ो, निकल जाओ जी, उसकी कोई मदद मत करो, पुलिस तकलीफ देगी। पर अभी हमने ये किया है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कानून निर्णय दिया है और हमने अभी ये कानून भी पास किया है कि जो विक्टिम है रोड एक्सीडेंट का, उसको जो मदद करेगा उसको पुलिस से कोई इंक्वायरी, तकलीफ, हरासमेंट नहीं होगी। उल्टा वो अगर उठाकर उसको कोई भी हॉस्पिटल में पहुंचाता है तो उसको हम राहवीर घोषित करेंगे और उसको 25,000 रुपए का अवार्ड देंगे।
वाह वाह वाह।
Some more updates now coming in after the talks stalemate. Masses of giant Pentagon warplanes are now rushing to the Middle East. This is the information that is being collected through open source data suggesting there is movement of multiple globe masters towards the Middle East. I want to go across to my colleagues Akash and Siddhant now joining us from our newsroom. They're going to give us a little bit more perspective on both the military aspect plus, of course, what's happening on ground in this region. Akash, of course, tracking the military aspect of it. Akash, what's the information? How much movement is happening, especially when we talk about US aircrafts and others?
Right. So you see, Shivani, we have 7 to 8 aircraft. In fact, one of the aircraft here on flight radar data as well, where the US Air Force C-17 Globemaster. C-17 is a heavy lifter that can carry heavy equipment. In fact, inside of that particular plane, you can in fact carry, air defenses or offensive platforms. And these planes, 6 to 7 planes, are on the move as of now. And open source data is somewhere indicating that these planes are moving towards Middle East. For example, this particular plane is moving towards Egypt for now, but we still don't know the final destination.
And do we have an idea of how much buildup already is there for the US?
Of course, 2 to 3 aircraft carriers are very much there. Carrier battle group, it means that frigates and destroyers are very much accompanying those aircraft carriers. Then on aircraft carrier, you have got multiple planes. Then you can send fighter planes as well. You have got bases.
And you've got those elite teams that were already sent?
Exactly. So other than the troops, that are very much there present in those warships, you have got these warships that have got some sort of capabilities. So they have got carrier battle group, of course they are fighters, and then they have the bases in the Gulf nations. So they can in fact have multiple resources, and they can
गडकरी जी यकीनन बहुत कोशिश रही है सरकार की तरफ से। हम भी देखते हैं कि रोड डिजाइन में बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट आया है, एनफोर्समेंट में भी बहुत सारी चीजें हुई हैं। और आपका कहना मेरा ये मानना है कि कोई भी चीज अचीव करने के लिए दोनों हाथ से ताली बजती है। जो सरकार कोशिश कर रही है, सरकार लॉज ला सकती है, रूल्स ला सकती है, सुविधा प्रोवाइड कर सकती है, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली जो सिविलियंस हैं, जो हम जो पब्लिक हैं, अगर हम उसका इस्तेमाल नहीं करें, हम उसको फॉलो नहीं करें, तो फिर वो प्रॉब्लम कभी सॉल्व नहीं होगा। जैसे कि आपने कहा हेलमेट पहनना, अक्सर हम देखते हैं कि लोग हेलमेट इसलिए नहीं पहनते क्योंकि उनको लगता है उनका बाल खराब हो जाएगा, हेयर स्टाइल खराब हो जाएगी। वो हाथ में रखते हैं हेलमेट, बाइक पे रखते हैं हेलमेट, जब उनको कोई पुलिस वाला देखता है तब वो लास्ट मिनट पहन लेते हैं। तो ये एक इतनी सिंपल चीज है कि पुलिस वाला जो है वो आपको पुलिस के डर से हेलमेट पहनना ये कोई समझदारी नहीं है। हेलमेट हमको इसलिए पहनना है क्योंकि हमारी जान बचेगी, पुलिस वाला हो या ना हो।
मैं आपको एक अच्छी बात बताता हूँ
जी।
हमने और एक निर्णय किया है, यहाँ काफी स्टूडेंट्स है, अभी अगर वो 2 व्हीलर नया खरीदी करेंगे तो ISI मार्क का मजबूत हेलमेट, 2 हेलमेट वो स्कूटर के साथ उनको मिलेंगे फ्री ऑफ चार्ज।
वाह।
ताकि ये हेलमेट पहने, और जैसा आपने कहा
जी
कि अगर आपकी जान है तो सब कुछ है,
जान है तो जहान।
अगर आपका ये जो सर अगर नहीं बचेगा और एक्सीडेंट में अगर आपकी मृत्यु हो गई तो कुछ नहीं बचेगा।
बिल्कुल सही।
इसलिए हेलमेट पहनो और सुरक्षित रहो। ये बात आप लोगों को जो आप संदेश दे रहे हैं ये लोगों तक पहुंचेगा तो बहुत लोगों की जान बच सकती है।
अमेरिका में, यूके में ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस मिलना बहुत मुश्किल है, उनकी टेस्टिंग बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट होती है। आमतौर पे लोग फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में बहुत कम लोग पास कर पाते हैं। हिंदुस्तान में लाइसेंस काफी आसानी से मिल जाता है उसके कंपैरिजन में। इस पे हमको थोड़ा जोर देना है कि जब हम लाइसेंस दे रहे हैं किसी को तो उसको वाकई ड्राइविंग ठीक से आती हो और रोड सेंस की समझ हो, बेसिक कानून की समझ हो। इस पे हम थोड़ा ध्यान दे रहे हैं।
देखिए एक्चुअली अमेरिका में इतना बड़ा किताब है और वहाँ ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस मिलाना बहुत कठिन है, 3-4 महीने लगते हैं। और विश्व में हिंदुस्तान ऐसा देश है उसमें पहले तो बहुत आसानी से मिलता था ना, RTO में जाने की जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ती। अब मैं बताऊंगा नहीं ये क्या मार्केट है
जी।
पर अब हमने इसमें डिजिटल सिस्टम की है, अब वो सब काम बंद हो गया। और दूसरी बात मैं लगातार कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि इसके लिए एक छोटा सा मोबाइल फोन पर या लैपटॉप पर, कंप्यूटर अपने घर से एक छोटी सी परीक्षा कम से कम लोग दे, ताकि वो अध्ययन करके वो परीक्षा पास करे फिर उनको ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस मिले। पर अभी तक उसमें भी अड़चने आती है,
मैं समझ सकता हूं।
तो ये भी करने का प्रयास हमारा है। और फिर ड्राइविंग की टेस्ट भी है। अब ड्राइविंग ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट जो है जी, इनको भी हम लोग ड्राइविंग टेस्ट करने का अधिकार दे रहे हैं।
सोसाइटी को सेंसिटाइज करने में थोड़ा और ध्यान दें, क्योंकि अक्सर हम एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हमारा ये एक कैफियत होती है कि हमको रूल्स फॉलो नहीं करना है। एज अ सरकार हम लोग जितने भी नियम ले आए, रूल्स ले आए, पब्लिक उसको नए नए तरीके से सोचती है रूल तोड़ने की। तो ये एक फीलिंग हमको लोगों में पैदा करनी है जो उनके मन में ये, जैसे मैं 99% में फॉलो करता हूं, तो ये एक फीलिंग अगर लोगों के मन में पैदा हो कि मुझे अपने परिवार की सुरक्षा करनी है, अपने देश की सुरक्षा करनी है, सामने वालों की सुरक्षा करनी है, ये एक भावना लोगों के अंदर जब आएगी तब मुझे लगता है कि एक बड़ा चेंज आएगा।
देखिए, एक बात महत्वपूर्ण है, जो अब नागरिक है 21 साल के ऊपर, उनको बदलना थोड़ा कठिन होता है। और मैंने आपका फिल्म देखी थी तारे जमीन पर।
जी जी।
और फिर मैंने टीचर्स के प्रोग्राम में सबको कहा था कि ये पिक्चर आप जरूर देखिए, क्योंकि ये टीचर कैसे होना चाहिए उसके लिए वो पिक्चर देखना आवश्यक है।
जी।
वैसे अभी हम लोग विशेष रूप से जो स्कूल के टीचर्स है, जो प्रिंसिपल है, जो स्कूल की मैनेजमेंट है, वो ये 5वीं से लेकर 10वीं 12वीं तक जो लड़के पढ़ रहे हैं,
जी,
जो देश के भविष्य के नागरिक है, वो एक जिम्मेदार और संवेदनशील नागरिक बनने के लिए रोड सुरक्षा के बारे में उनको पढ़ाना, रोड सुरक्षा की प्रतिज्ञा उन्होंने करना कि मैं जीवन में कभी रोड सुरक्षा, इसका कानून जो है उसका मैं कभी वायलेट नहीं करूंगा।
जी।
तो मुझे लगता है कि ये स्कूल का और कॉलेज का बड़ा योगदान हो सकता है। 12 साल में मंत्री हूं और पूरी कोशिश करने के बाद हम सफल नहीं हो पाए, इसका मुझे दुख है। तो मैं ये कहता हूँ कि शायद हमारे प्रयासों में कुछ कमी आई है, और ज्यादा प्रयास करने की जरूरत है। ये समझकर हम और प्रयास करेंगे और हम एक दिन पूरी तरह कामयाब होंगे, यशस्वी होंगे। और आप जैसे लोग ये बैठे सब विद्यार्थी, शिक्षक, इन सब के सहयोग से जो समाज के स्टेक होल्डर्स है, केवल हमारे कारण नहीं होगा, आप सबके मदद के कारण एक दिन निश्चित रूप से हमारा देश जो जीरो फैटेलिटी के और यशस्वी होगा, यही विश्वास मेरे मन में है।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया गडकरी जी, और मैं आपको अश्योर करना चाहता हूं कि मैं आपके साथ हूं और मुझे यकीन है कि हम सब आपके साथ हैं।
बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर श्री आमिर खान एंड श्री नितिन गडकरी। प्रतिध्वनि और रोशन से की तरफ से एक बहुत ही मजेदार नाट्य रूपांतरण आपके सामने।
हो जाइए तैयार, क्योंकि मृत्यु लोक के महान प्रशासक यम यम यमराज पधार रहे हैं।
महाराज, मुझे आपसे कुछ बात करनी है।
नहीं नहीं चित्रू, मेरा वेके मोड ऑन है। मैं जा रहा हूँ गैलेक्सी विला। ओहो, एस्ट्रॉइड शार, एक साइड होगा रेनबो, ये एक साइड होगा यूनिकॉर्न्स, माचा पोवर्टी। मैं जा रहा हूँ।
यमराज, हेड ऑफिस से ईमेल आया है कि आपकी लीव कैंसल हो सकती है।
ये चीटिंग है।
यमराज, प्रॉब्लम आप नहीं, प्रॉब्लम तो ये है, ये धरती वाले लोग।
मतलब
ये लोग बोलते हैं कि सेफ्टी जरूरी है, रूल्स फॉलो करने चाहिए, पर जब करने की बारी आती है तो बोलते इसमें क्या होगा, बस 2 मिनट चल निकल लेते हैं। इंडिया में हर साल लाखों से ज्यादा रोड क्रैशेस होते हैं, और उसमें से कई ज्यादा तो बस एक ही रीजन की वजह से, बस छोटी सी लापरवाही।
मतलब हमें धरती पर जाना होगा।
यस, अगर आपको आपकी छुट्टी अप्रूव करानी है तो आपको सबसे पहले ही धरती पे जाकर, स्पेशली गोइंग टू द कैपिटल ऑफ इंडिया दिल्ली, आपको एक ऐसा कैंडिडेट ढूंढना है जो इस कर्तव्य बैंड का हकदार हो। एक्सीडेंट हो गया
भाई, शूट करता हूँ, वायरल हो जाएगा।
पापा,
ओह माय गॉड,
पापा,
क्या
पापा, अरे हेल्प करो प्लीज।
हाँ, हेल्प करो। अरे क्या कर रहे हो यार, पुलिस केस हो जाएगी, दूर हटो।
अरे पापा है मेरे, पापा।
एक मिनट साइड हटो प्लीज। अरे क्या कर रहे हो यार आप, ये क्यों रील बना रहे हो आप इस समय?
रील बनाना जरूरी है।
एक्सक्यूज मी मैडम, ये आप फोन में लगी हुई हो?
अरे पुलिस को फोन किया, एम्बुलेंस को फोन किया आपने? एक मिनट बेटा,
पुलिस को फोन करो, आप करो।
हेलो भाई, भाई
आप करो।
तुम मुझे सुन पा रहे हो? अरे यार पानी लेके आओ कोई।
पानी लेके आओ, पानी लेके आओ।
अरे पानी लेके क्या, आप लेके आओ ना पानी।
मैं कहाँ से पानी?
अच्छा इसको एक काम करते हैं, इनको उठाते हैं, साइड में तो करते हैं।
हाँ साइड करते हैं।
हाँ।
क्या साइड करते हैं? बेवकूफी वाली बात कर रहे हो? पुलिस केस हो जाएगी, प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा।
हाँ।
पुलिस
आओ उठो 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 उठो
उठो उठो उठो उठो।
आओ साइड में। ब्रो ये तो अपनी जान की रिस्क ले रहा है।
रिस्क नहीं ले रहा है, अपना कर्तव्य निभा रहा है।
इधर ही बैठा दो इनको। लेट्स टॉक टू हिम। सुनो भाई, आप ठीक हो? एम्बुलेंस अभी आ रही है। ओके थैंक यू।
मैंने कॉल किया था।
आपको पुलिस से डर लग रहा था? वाह मैडम वाह। आपको मालूम है इंडिया में गुड समैरिटन लॉ है, जिसके तहत अगर कोई इंसान किसी दूसरे इंसान की किसी दुर्घटना में मदद करता है, उसको हॉस्पिटल लेके जाता है या उसकी जान बचाने में हेल्प करता है, तो पुलिस उसको बेवजह परेशान नहीं कर सकती। इनफैक्ट इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने तो एक स्कीम चलाई है राहवीर नाम की, जिसके तहत इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ऐसे किसी भी काम करने वाले इंसान को 25,000 रुपए तक का इनाम देती है। और भाई उसको ऐसा पढ़ा देख के आप रील बना रहे हो, आप उसकी हेल्प नहीं कर रहे हो। कल को किसी दिन आप ऐसे पढ़े होगे और आपकी कोई हेल्प नहीं करेगा तो तब क्या होगा भाई?
भाई साहब आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो भाई साहब, हम ऐसा कभी नहीं करेंगे।
सॉरी
मैं डिलीट करता हूँ।
फाइनली कोई मिल गया जो इस कर्तव्य बैंड का हकदार है। शाबाश।
मेरे बाबा ना बिल्कुल ऐसे थे। जब कभी रोड में एक्सीडेंट होता, भीड़ जमा हो जाती, मैं हेल्प करने की जाने की कोशिश करता तो कहते तू क्यों जा रहा है, तू हीरो क्यों बन रहा है, 3-4 मुस्टंडे खड़े हैं ना। एक दिन खुद का रोड में एक्सीडेंट हो गया, भीड़ जमा हो गई सर। फिर वो वेट कर रहे थे कोई तो हीरो बने, कोई तो हीरो बने, लेकिन उस दिन कोई हीरो नहीं बना, कोई नहीं बना सर। तो बस इसलिए
हमें आप जैसे हीरो की जरूरत है। जोरदार तालियां।
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged: Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings of the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
We're getting some breaking news now coming in. An informed Iranian source on the talks is saying that Iran presented reasonable initiatives and proposals during the talks. The ball is now in America's court to approach the issues realistically. Just as the US government failed in its war calculations, it has so far also miscalculated the negotiations. This is what the Iranian source is saying, mind you. It also adds Iran is in no rush, and unless the US agrees to a reasonable deal, there will be no change in the situation at Strait of Hormuz. For now, no time or place has been set for a possible next round of talks. So this is a big update coming in. Should we take this as the official version of Iran and the word coming in from Iranian authorities? Certainly a lot of grandstanding and posturing is happening in public, and Iran's message is very, very clear. They're not going to concede to anything the US is demanding, particularly on their red lines. Siddhant is also joining us. Siddhant, how do you see this, this Iranian media source talking about this 4-point things that, there is no one time or place set for the next round of negotiations either?
Yeah. So, Shivani, there are multiple such versions coming from the Iranian side, Iranian press. There were many Iranian journalists present there at the media center in Islamabad. Now, one thing is clear now that Iran has a proposal for the United States, and United States has a proposal for Iran. Now, United States say that if Iran accepts those proposals, then there's going to be the truce, the ceasefire, and Iran says that if United States accepts that proposal, perhaps that's the language says that the ball is in US, their court, US court. So one thing is for sure that both sides have not come on one page. They are still sticking to their initial position. There is no as such change in position, Shivani. For a mediator's, what is mediator's job? Mediator's job is to slightly shift the position, change the position. None of the side has agreed to change the position, and perhaps this is what we could understand, Shivani. And this is the reason that stalemate continues, and there is no breakthrough from these talks. But the good part is that both sides are open to be coming for the negotiations again. Time has not been decided yet, but this window,
they haven't said no.
They haven't said no to the next round.
Yes. So US Vice President J.D. Vance's message was also this, that we'll hope to hear from the Iranian side exactly how they take this forward. We've made our best and final offer. The Iranian version now emerging is that, see, these are our red lines. We are not going to stop our nuclear weapons system. We are not going to go hand over enriched uranium, and more needs to be discussed as far as the control of the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. Let's also go across to my colleague Akash, who's joining us. Akash, both sides seemingly very clear on their red lines, but this is putting a little bit of a question mark on what happens over the next 1 week, and particularly.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. I'm Prithween Balian. Well, India's iconic Bollywood singer Asha Bhosle was best known for her soulful Voices No More. Breach Candy Hospital, in fact, confirmed the news and detailed how Asha Bhosle was admitted to the hospital around 7 p.m. on Saturday following a decline in her condition due to chest infection and fatigue. She was then placed under close observation in the ICU, and further, the hospital stated that despite all efforts, she succumbed to multi-organ failure at 12 noon today. With a career spanning over 8 decades, Asha Bhosle recorded thousands of songs across multiple languages, becoming one of India's most versatile and celebrated voices. From Bollywood classics to ghazals to pop, her voice defined generations. Tributes are now pouring in from across the country as India has lost one of its most iconic musical legends. We get you a quick wrap up on the journey so far in this special report.
Legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle, who was rushed to Breach Candy Hospital on Saturday, passed away on Sunday at the age of 92. According to reports, the iconic singer was taken to the hospital's emergency unit on April 11, where she later passed away. Early reports suggested she had suffered a cardiac arrest. As per reports, her son Anand Bhosle confirmed the news on Sunday afternoon, and the family has said that the last rites will be performed tomorrow.
मैं आनंद भोसले, मेरी माताजी श्रीमती आशा भोसले, इनका आज निधन हो चुका है। कल सुबह 11 बजे वो जहाँ रहती थी कास्ता ग्रैंड लोअर परेल, वहाँ पर जिनको अंतिम दर्शन लेने हैं वो आप वहाँ आइए, और 4 बजे कल दोपहर को शिवाजी पार्क में इनके अंतिम संस्कार होंगे।
The news comes as a shock to fans, as her granddaughter Zanai Bhosle had earlier clarified that Asha Bhosle had been hospitalized due to extreme exhaustion and a chest infection. Sharing a picture with her grandmother, she wrote, "My grandmother, Asha Bhosle, due to extreme exhaustion and suffering a chest infection, has been admitted to hospital, and we request you to value our privacy. Treatment is ongoing and hopefully everything will be well, and we shall update you positively."
All right, Indian playback, bhajan and ghazal singer Hariharan joins us on the broadcast. Very good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us here on CNN News 18. It's a day that the entire nation is paying its tributes to Asha ji, remembering the best of her, which is a lot. You know, we've run out of time really just counting the number of achievements, successes she's had, and she's given to the entire nation, taken us to the world stage in ways more than one. Today, you've closely worked with her. Let's talk about that 1985 collaboration. What's the first thing that comes to your mind as we remember her?
You know, it's like a rerun of my life and my association with her. It's a very sad day for us, and the sadness at times we become short of words, basically. I have known Asha ji since 83, 82. 82 was the first year when she invited me to sing with her on stage. She and R.D. Burman Sahab, they used to have they used to do shows. So I was a singer there, and that's how I met her. And in 85, Asha ji asked me to compose some ghazals for her, and it was called Abshare Ghazal.
Yeah.
And I was, when she just told me one day, I was going in the car with her. She said, "Hari, माझ्यासाठी एक album करा तुम, compose करा." And I didn't know what to say. I wanted to just jump with joy, but I was sitting in a car next to her. I said, "ठीक है." And that was a project which actually gave direction to my life, and I got confidence, so much confidence that Asha ji asked me to compose ghazals for her, and it became a big iconic album. I mean, even today you have younger generation singing those ghazals, and see, as I was saying, you know, it's very difficult to talk about Asha ji's work. It's like she has been of relevance in our music field for 70 years.
Yeah.
Move. And even till the some few years back, she did a concert and she held a crowd of 10,000 people. I mean, what do you say that? It's being a superhuman. And with Asha ji, you know, she was a master of singing, master of music. At the same time, she was the best student of music.
Yeah.
She was so involved in her work, in the genres. I mean, what is the genre she has left for anybody else? She has sung all kinds of songs, right from the bandish, classical bandish for Ali Akbar Khan Sahab. Then the beautiful songs were O.P. Nair, Panchamda, and then all those wonderful Natya Sangeet which she has sung. And then cut to you have Aja Aja, Dam Maro Dam, the pop, Janam Samjha Karo. And I mean, it's like you live with the moon and the sun, the same way you have lived with her voice.
Yeah, and there are so many qualities to her. It's not just one. Like you said, jack of all and master of all. You know, that's the uniqueness she brought to the table. Hariharan ji, you know, very quickly before we get going with our conversation, if you can just give us a few lines of maybe your favorite song of Asha ji, or a song that you sung with her that's going to stay with you forever.
I'll sing a song from Abshare Ghazal, which is her favorite also. Which is
lovely.
जब रात की तन्हाई दिल बन के धड़कती है, यादों के दरीचे में चिलमन सी सरकती है, जब रात की तन्हाई.
Wow. We're going to take a pause there. Hariharan ji, I'm going to come back to you in just a bit. Also joining us is music director and singer Raghav Sachar. So let's go across to him because I'm sure he has his own take on how he's seen Asha ji's music over the years. Raghav, thank you for being with us here. One thing that comes with you and music is versatility when it comes to instruments, singing, and Asha ji is known just for that. She was one of the first few in the country to really set the tone for all those who are looking at conquering, that multi-genre. How would you remember her today? Let's just begin with the basics.
Too much of a shock, to be very honest. Of course, she has been there, a part of our lives. I've grown up listening to her music. I do so many collaborations, and surprisingly, Hari sir was here yesterday with me. We were on a collaboration. We were doing a collaboration together, and I was just talking to a few friends of mine, even at HMV, and we were trying to see if I could get Asha ma'am to do a collaboration with me because I've done so many of her numbers. Done so many of her tracks in different instruments with, trying to kind of mimic how she sings, how she can get a child-like voice, how she can get a mature voice, and the versatility, as you mentioned rightly, that came with her as a part, parcel of her entire being. And just the sheer body of work that she has done. I mean, when you actually think about it and put that into perspective, for a regular person, it might just be numbers. But for musicians who are living, eating, breathing, singing, doing these things on a daily basis, these numbers are not something that you can kind of even fathom to achieve. What she has done over so many years with the versatility that we have all seen.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very heartwarming that, now when we are remembering her, suddenly how in a second things change. Instead of me thinking that I'm going to collaborate with her, I'm thinking I'm going to tribute. And that is something that is very heavy on my heart. And I'm feeling, of course, that something is pulled out of my own body. That's what music does to you. When you especially connect with somebody over so many years, it kind of does that to you. And I'm extremely sad that, of course, she's no more. But she's also had a fantastic life.
Yeah.
Given us so much that we are continuing to, imbibe and transcribe and do it in our own way. But of course, not being that thought or that want that I had that, I want to go and see her, I want to go and do this, that is taking away from me. And so rest in peace.
She stays timeless, Raghav. That's the beautiful part about her story, right? And it's going to be carry forwarded in so many ways. But from cabaret to classical to pop, all of it so effortlessly pulled off by Asha ji. Hari sir, if you can really, expand on this, what made her music or her singing so timeless, so adaptable? How conveniently she moved between genres, between different forms, between different languages. I don't think anyone has been able to master it like she has.
So the thing is that, as I told earlier also, she was a master singer and the best student of music. She always wanted to learn. She went to the drawing board as a student and learned the song and became one with the song. And she was like a method actor. You give her a song and then her body language becomes that song. Her body language changed when she sang different songs. And that came through her voice. And she's of relevance to even today's generation. That is the greatest thing. Even like some years back also, she just held an audience of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
She's a free spirit, she was a giver. She was a frank, she was very frank in her life, and in the same way, whatever she had in the music, she gave it so wholeheartedly. and she became one with the crowd, which was an amazing talent which she had. It was a gift.
She gave a lot to her music, a lot to the people she's worked with, a lot to her friends, family.
Yeah.
Everyone has come out to today tell us that, you know, she's the exact same person in each of these spaces.
I met her a month back on 6th of February. I'd gone to meet her, and she was fragile. I mean, she was, and then we started talking about things, and she was just sitting next to me and started singing some of her old melodies. Aise gungunane lagi. Oh, she was so divine, and I'm getting goosebumps now when I'm talking about it. And she was full of life. Even these 2 hours we spoke, it was amazing. And that was the Asha ji I knew from the day I met her in '83. The same Asha ji. Yeah.
Raghav, you know, we're just to take it ahead from that conversation and really talk about today's music. Now we're all living in this auto-tuned, digital-heavy era, and so many singers. And I see Harisa with that big smile there, because so many people who believed in music, its true essence, they stuck by the version that Asha ji had created. Would you want to, you know, tell us a little bit maybe about how she inspired you? And to what extent? Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, Harisa.
Sorry.
Raghav, go ahead. I'll go across to Harisa right after you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with Asha ma'am, we've seen her do so many different things over the years. And I mean, talk about being up with the day and age. When the recreations started happening, the best of the recreations happened when she had done her own originals and then recreated them in a new avatar whether Bidu was doing it or, you know, other people were recreating. But she has been iconic in, I feel, every decade. And I have never seen her be of, you know, वो होता ना कि यार अभी चलो मेरा time खत्म हो गया, अभी let the other people. So if there is, if I have to compare her journey, I would compare her journey, if at all, with Amitabh Bachchan sir, because he has also been, every decade he has been other relevant, and Asha ma'am has been able to pull that off effortlessly over the years. I would say that that doesn't come easy. Things are absolutely, you know, you're brought up with something completely different. The entire industry has changed over and over and over again, and multiple times. And she has managed somehow or the other to be in the center of it throughout till this day. So you can just imagine what she's made up of, you know, and what she is, what an attitude she has towards professionalism, towards music, towards her, and each and everything, and that all contributes. Otherwise, it's impossible to sustain through so many changes.
I mean, can that kind of versatility be achieved in today's day and age? Because she truly comes across as one of a kind, and everyone here would agree to that. Raghav, before I go across to Harisa once again, if you'd want to come in on a few lines of your favorite song by Asha ji.
Well, I'm a huge fan of almost all her numbers. I recently just did Baho Mein Chale Aa, and it got a lot of appreciation. And I've done it on different instruments as well. But today I'm paying her tribute at 6 p.m. on my channel as well. And that song is Abhi na jao chhod kar ke dil abhi bhara nahi nahi abhi nahi 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 abhi nahi. This is the only thing I would like to say, that I would love to be in her company for longer. Of course, there's nobody like her. There'll be nobody like her. She is one of a kind. And to answer your question, that if anybody else can do this, she has set the bar so high that to reach that, they'll really, really have to work very, very hard. And we all strive, of course, with her, you know, everything that she's done, and may her soul rest in peace. And thank you for giving us the memories and the music.
Harisa, just beyond the legend, Asha ji is tell us a little bit about the person she is, and beyond the microphone, what is interacting with her like?
Asha ji is very lively, was very lively and a fun-loving person. When she used to smile, it was not only her whole face used to light up. Her eyes used to smile, and it was just from her heart she used to smile. And she loved life. I remember once we were just touring USA, and she loved ice cream. And but she said, "जब तक ये programs होंगे, मैं नहीं खा सकती हूँ मैं." So she didn't. Just the last program it got over, तो बोले कि आज ice cream खाऊंगी मैं. And then she had a big scoop of ice cream she put it in the mouth, and she did this. She wouldn't swallow. So I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Kya kar rahi hai?" Hold on, she was saying. Hold on. And after some time, she swallowed. बोले क्या कर रही थी आप? मतलब you were gasping for breath. अरे नहीं, बहुत ठंडा था, उसको गर्म किया मैंने. After that, I swallowed it. I mean, she was like sometimes, she used to talk like a child.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was amazing. And she's, and another thing was her love to cook.
Yeah.
She was an amazing cook. And to feed. If she's serving you, you got to be careful.
So if you go to her home, then be rest assured that you're going to walk out holding your stomach.
It is very, she will insist, "Arey, khana khao, theek se khao." And that's it. And you got to sit down. And but amazing. एक जो मेहमान नवाजी बोलते हैं, जो the love she had, Amazing.
Also, queen of reinventions, Harisa. How difficult is that for a singer? How do you reinvent music with changing trends, with things that people want to hear so easily, so conveniently, zero effort? It just came out so beautifully each of the times.
The thing is that when you don't rest in your laurels and you're just a new person every day, and you start every day from the drawing board, you can do that. And you can reinvent yourself because you're looking out, you're not looking inwards. Yesterday is gone, today is going, it's tomorrow. So we have to be open, and that's why that student in you, the child in you, has to be very much there. It has to be alive.
Yeah.
When you have the child in you, your energy is different. You don't have the energy of your actual age. It's about the spirit we are talking about. And Asha ji captured that youth, the spirit in her, till the end.
And she worked with multiple generations of composers as well. That in itself is a big story, isn't it? About the mindset that you carry as an artist.
Exactly, because she, even if she had a youth, kids, 18, 20 years old kids sitting and talking, she could gel in. She would listen to them. It's not that she talks and you listen to it. Aapko kya malum hai? Nahin. She will sit down and listen to them, and then start vibing. She will understand what they want, And think about it, as you said, the generations of composers. That is also there, Asha ji, Lata ji, the kind of composers they got. From the masters to the, the best of every generation.
And when you speak, Harisa, of Asha ji and Lata ji in one breath, the kind of benchmark Lata ji had set, Asha ji had another task cut out for herself, and she pulled it off so beautifully. Would you want to come in on this? Her having worked with generations of composers, pulled it off like, she was just meant to do this. Have you heard of any stories in your circle? Anything you'd like to share with us?
Stories about Asha ma'am, as Harisa was saying, everybody has similar things to say. But versatility of it is the key part of it. So if a person is kind of वो अपने ही दायरे में रह के कर काम करना हो, so that basically says that okay, I can do this particular thing, and I like doing this, and I like this form of music mostly. But the versatility that she has shown as far as classical music is concerned, being like as he mentioned as a child to create those noises and go ha yeah or now you have to be very free spirited to do something like that at that time. Now doing all of this is it's kind of given. But they are trendsetters. They have done this at a time, even Burman Saab, they have done this kind of stuff at a time when it never existed. So, imbibe that and present it and think about it and then take the chance, then take the risk. Critics are also there. There's so many other things. But I think as Hari sir also mentioned very clearly, and so many other people who've spoken about Asha ma'am in the past, always have to say that you put anything in front of her and she's ready to grasp and she's ready to do it. And that's the spirit, Of course, keeping you would not have heard any vulgar songs, you would not have heard any that daira maintain karte hue, but to creatively, from a musical standpoint, from a singing standpoint, from an expression standpoint, there's nobody like her, and there's never been anybody like her who has been able to, the margin of versatility is from.
There was a certain ada even in her sensual singing. That's what she brought to the table. Yeah,
absolutely. Like romantic songs, like even all of these songs that she has done in the past, they have just the dynamic differences. When you come into actually analyzing these songs as a musician, see, an audience is just hearing them in totality. We are actually, when we hear songs, we are analyzing कि अच्छा ये कैसे किया है, ये हरकत कैसे की है, ये dynamically कैसे किया है. So when you see all of those details कि कितने ease से कर दिया है, and there was no correction happening.
Yeah. And many would not find answers to this. कि ये possible भी कैसे है, करते कैसे हैं आशा जी? I think that's the beauty of it all, because she was able to ace it all. That left everyone wondering about where the originality or the original talent really lies. Thank you so much, Harisa and Raghav, for really joining us and taking that conversation forward. The nation today really remembering Asha ji, her contributions, and also at the same time mourning the loss. We want to give you a quick reminder of this 2023 interaction at Network 18's She Shakti Conclave. Asha Bhosle showed us her enduring musical spirit. We leave you with this. Take a look.
आशा दीदी है तो आशा दीदी की आवाज में हम सबको उनके पसंद के एक गाना गाने के लिए मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगी. सबसे बड़ा डर लगा. आपने अंदर कहा था कि हेलो 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 हेलो. हेलो. पहले तो यहाँ बैठे हुए सारे बड़े बड़े लोग और आपको नमस्कार, प्रणाम. आपने कहा कि मधुबन में कन्हैया किसी गोपी से मिले. मुझे सुनना है तो मुझे वो गाना इतना अभी याद नहीं है, मैं मुखड़ा सुना देती हूँ. मधुबन में कन्हैया किसी गोपी से मिले, कभी मुस्काए कभी रास रमे राधा कैसे न जले, राधा कैसे न जले, आग तन मन में लगे, आग तन मन में लगे, राधा कैसे न जले, राधा कैसे न जले, राधा कैसे न जले.
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged: Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
गाड़ी ठीक से क्यों नहीं चला रही हो? मैं ठीक से नहीं चला रही हूँ, आप क्या कर रहे हैं?
How many of you are here from Bengaluru itself?
Okay, let's please welcome our special guest for the evening with a huge round of applause. Akineni Naga Chaitanya, actor and entrepreneur. Sadak Suraksha Abhiyan by Network 18.
Namaskara Bengaluru. Channagidira.
Thank you very much, and a huge welcome to all of you. Road safety is not just about the periodical warnings about wearing helmets and doing this and doing that, but something that all of us can incorporate in our daily lives. And we want Chaitanya to talk to us about this.
Thank you all for having me here. Sadak Suraksha Abhiyan, it's such a wonderful cause that's in its 4th year. I think it's a cause that's needed. Road safety, it's a topic that I can go on and on talking about because I love being on the roads. For me, being on the roads is meditative in a way. Whenever I feel stressed, whenever I feel a lot of pressure from work, and whenever I just want to let go, I get into my car or my motorcycle and just drive on the road. Driving on the road, you know, comes with a lot of responsibility. I think at a young age, I was like any of you youngsters out there who wanted to drive fast, you know, feel that adrenaline, feel that excitement. But obviously you start learning that that's not the way to do it, that there's a space, there is a controlled area to do that. But on the roads, we're not only responsible for our lives, but we're responsible for the other lives on the street as well. Right now in our country, road safety is looked at like a rule, like you have to do it. I think it needs to become a lifestyle choice. For example, you have priorities in life. You want to go to the gym, or you want to eat a meal at a certain time, or you want to study this, you want to become that. These are things you aspire to do. These become a part of your lifestyle. I think road safety that way needs to be looked at it that way. I'm not sure how many of you, if you're riding a motorcycle and you or a scooter and you went out in the morning and you forgot your helmet, would you go back home to get your helmet? I don't know. But if you forgot your cell phone, or if you forgot something from your handbag or something like that, I'm sure you would go back home to get it, right? So, this needs to happen. This conscious shift in the mentality needs to happen. Because many times we also see a lot of our friends, family, or we read in the paper that this bad accident happened, and they're grieving, and they just wish, because if they had worn a seatbelt or worn a helmet or something like that, it could have saved their lives, and that damage or that trauma would not have happened. So, why wait for it to happen? Prevent the cause. Prevention is better than cure. So I believe in that. So apart from that, I think lane discipline also. A lot of people talk about seat belts and helmets and all that, but I think lane discipline is very important. I get when I'm driving on a national highway and I'm in the speed limit, I suddenly see a pedestrian crossing. I'm 1 second close to getting a heart attack. Or also when I'm driving on a highway or on a road, people slowly swerve off the lane. This causes a lot of accidents. So I think if lane discipline is followed, it not only saves you, but also saves the pedestrian walking on the road.
You have gone beyond acting. You have your own cloud kitchen brands. You also own a racing team in Hyderabad. So, again, has that made you all the more conscious about road safety? What kind of anxiety do you experience when you're driving one of your street cars? And is it really possible to drive one of those cars in, the lanes of Hyderabad?
I love speed, but I will never ever do it on the roads. It's, there are racetracks, there's a place to do that. There's a place for everything where it can be done in a controlled manner, where you can enjoy it to the fullest, and that's where it should be done. So if you love speed, enjoy speed. I'm not saying don't, but do it on a racetrack. On the road, it's not the place for it. And in fact, driving fast, a lot of people think it's a high, it's an adrenaline, but actually it's not. If you think about it, it's actually anxiety. It causes so much of stress. If any one small mistake happens, just for that 1-2 seconds of joy that you want to experience can lead to so much of other damage. So definitely, speeding on the roads is not worth it.
It's not worth it. That's a good message, Chaitanya. And also that speed is good, but within a closed circuit, not on the roads.
Absolutely. Because even if you see a lot of, I'm sure racing happens on racetracks, but even if you see a lot of these ads of motorsport ads or some automobile ads, that the drivers are doing certain stunts and all that, you'll see this message that says, this has been shot in a closed circuit or performed by a stunt driver. That's for a very specific reason, because it's meant to be enjoyed on a racetrack. For the road, there is a reason why there is a speed limit. It's a very conscious decision to have a speed limit on a road, because when you are in that speed, say a 40 kilometers per hour or an 80 kilometers per hour based on the road, if something suddenly happens, like if an animal crosses the road or if something unexpected happens, you are in a controlled manner to control the vehicle. Like if you apply the brakes at that point of time, you can control the vehicle to bring it to a standstill. But if you are overspeeding, you cannot do it. It's not possible. That's the reason why a speed limit or certain kinds of rules have been designed for the roads, and I definitely urge everyone to follow it.
When it comes to road crash facilities, India is actually among the top countries in the world. And one of the major reasons is speeding. So how would you advise youngsters to get some control over their adrenaline rush, not sort of get carried away in the moment?
I'm just throwing examples out there. Maybe you're stressed at work or you've had a fight at home. You get into the car and you feel if you drive fast, you can sort of escape that feeling. So when we start bringing an emotion to speed, then automatically you probably lose sense of the reality. Don't let your emotional state of mind sort of affect the way you're driving. That also leads to road rage. I've seen that happen a lot, where you're stressed about something and someone, sort of took a wrong turn. It leads to road rage where you want to go after that person or chase that person and, stop them and have a fight with them. It's not going to get you anywhere. That's not the way to do it. So keep the emotional baggage out of, the car or the motorcycle you're driving.
As part of Sadak Suraksha Abhiyan, whether it's for co-users, for pedestrians, for elderly, for children, for everyone, how does one inculcate a sense of empathy on the road?
I think we all have to become one community when we're on the roads. Empathy is something, the second we start thinking about the pedestrian in front of us or the car or the motorcycle in front of us, to keep that distance, to watch out for themselves, to watch out for us as well. And we start sort of building this community on the road that is a safe place where we're all one family and we have to look out for each other. Once that thought process comes in, I think, that will make a huge difference. It's very similar to like when we are at home and when we are with our family or friends at home, we look out for each other. When someone has a problem, we're trying to understand what their problem is and we're trying to sort it out. And we're trying to show care and love. I think if we sort of translate the same feeling to the road, where we want to show care and love to everyone around us for the sake of their safety and our safety, definitely there will be a huge change on the roads.
1 or 2 tips that you would like to give on staying safe on roads?
Basic things like, of course, everyone would say about wearing your seatbelt, your helmet. I would say lane discipline, to watch out for yourself and the pedestrians. These are 3 things that I would say. Main thing is make safety a lifestyle choice. They're not rules. It has to become a part of your life, your everyday life.
On that note, thank you very much, Chaitanya, for coming on Network 18 Sadak Suraksha Abhiyan and for giving our audience here a very important message on road safety.
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged: Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
We're getting some breaking news now coming in. An informed Iranian source on the talks is saying that Iran presented reasonable initiatives and proposals during the talks. The ball is now in America's court to approach the issues realistically. Just as the US government failed in its war calculations, it has so far also miscalculated the negotiations. This is what the Iranian source is saying, mind you. It also adds Iran is in no rush, and unless the US agrees to a reasonable deal, there will be no change in the situation at Strait of Hormuz. For now, no time or place has been set for a possible next round of talks. So this is the big update coming in. Should we take this as the official version of Iran and the word coming in from Iranian authorities? Certainly a lot of grandstanding and posturing is happening in public, and Iran's message is very, very clear. They're not going to concede to anything the US is demanding, particularly on their red lines. Siddhant is also joining us. Siddhant, how do you see this, this that there is no one time or place set for the next round of negotiations either?
Yeah. So, Shivani, there are multiple such versions coming from the Iranian side, Iranian press.
Joining him is Srinivas Alavali, a true champion of Namma Bengaluru and works at the intersection of data and governance to make our public transport and streets safer. Welcome, sir. Could you start with an overview of your biggest pain points when it comes to tackling road safety in Namma Bengaluru?
Population as such in Bengaluru are very law abiding, and we need to just tell them what to do. So priority of safety on the road is most important. Unfortunately, the number of vehicles are increasing day by day. So we need to have a policy where youngsters who are sitting here, especially, they take their responsibility on their own. And we find a lot of road rages nowadays. So all those things are there. So priority for safety on the road is most important. And it is very unfortunate to see that number of deaths taking place due to road accidents are far, far more, not only here, all over India or world over. If you compare Indian statistics, the number of casualties, fatalities, and injuries are quite high. And so, where is the problem? We are getting new technologies coming, new cars are coming, new roads are coming. Still, this is going for a toss. So we need to think over.
Now you have quick commerce where you have everything in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. What has that done to road safety in terms of the pressure that it's added? Because these are mainly electric rental scooters without number plates. What measures are you taking to tackle this?
It's a very serious issue because these particular vehicles don't come under the Motor Vehicle Act. They are not governed because the CC is less. They come below the standards which is required in a Motor Vehicles Act. So we have taken up this issue with the Motor Vehicle Transport Department, and we have found out ways, and we have had series of meetings with the gig workers, because most of you must have seen that they go against the way, they go on the footpaths, they go without helmets. So these are the issues which is a challenge. That's what I told you. Bangalore is full of such challenges. So we have found a way out. What we are doing, we have the gig workers are the workers who are using these vehicles. But for whom? It's for these companies. So we are tightening the companies. We have told them, look, unless until you have a policy where, okay, you can take it for supply in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 20 minutes, whatever it is. But how do you supply it? You can't risk the life of a person, both the person who's driving as well as the pedestrian. So we are tightening them, and many cases you must have seen, we are booking cases against them. It's a very serious issue, and they have understood it. They've understood it. We are now in talk with the Transport Department to change the regulations, the standards, and so that they also come under the ambit of the Motor Vehicle Act.
Mr. Srinivas, if I can come to you, the Greater Bengaluru Authority and WRI, your institute, you're working on Suraksha 75, a road safety and junction revamp initiative for major intersections. What's the current status of this project?
The road safety has become a big challenge in Bengaluru. Almost every other day, we lose a pedestrian in our city. The number of pedestrian deaths are very high. This is one of the dark sides of Bengaluru. Similarly, we need support for pedestrian safety. When everyone gets on that, then good things will happen. What Suraksha aims to do is to bring a comprehensive program towards making our streets safer, particularly for the pedestrians. Today we have about 48 lakh people using the bus and 10 lakh people using the metro. They're all pedestrians. Other than the bus and metro users, also we have lakhs of pedestrians. So how do you make the street safer for pedestrians? This is what Suraksha program is all about. How you engineer your streets changes the behavior of the people. For example, in your house, if you build a lift, will you put walls around the lift to prevent people from falling off the lift, right? That's a design of the lift. If you design a balcony in your apartment, you will put a railing. You will not put a sign saying you may fall off. You actually put a railing, meaning you're designing engineering. Suraksha is about designing and engineering our streets so that the vehicles and pedestrians don't come into conflict. In one of the busiest junctions, we have hundreds of conflict points. Under Hebbal Junction, sir, 100 conflict points where pedestrians and vehicles can come in contact. So Suraksha is trying to redesign that. 75 junctions have been identified based on the worst junctions where the most fatalities are happening. Design drawings have been approved. We're working with traffic police to get approvals. About 25 junctions, the implementation work has started. By the end of this year, 26-27, we are going to complete all 75,
Right.
and 150 more junctions are being added in consultation with the traffic police.
You know, schools during peak hours, especially if you, I mean, whenever Bishop Cotton school closes, you literally can't do anything on that road for the next half an hour because many schools don't allow vehicles inside their compounds. So as a result, parents, schools, they park on the roadsides or they block pavements. How is this being addressed?
Most of the schools, as you told, they don't allow the buses or the auto rickshaws or the cabs which are bringing the children. They don't allow them to enter the campus. But for obvious reasons, I mean, they say that safety is compromised or whatever. But on the other hand, the entire roads get choked. We have had dialogues with these schools. We have had dialogue, but it has not ended in any other thing. We are going to have a strict policy in future, wherein we'll make it compulsory if they have ground. They need to take these vehicles inside during the in the morning and the evening time, because see, it's basically the safety of the school children which is involved, which is of primary importance. So once the vehicles are parked inside the campus, there are many schools. There are many schools which are allowing, which have big campuses, and which are allowing buses to go inside. So it's a very this is the area, gray area, where we need to educate our teachers, the management of the school, because enforcing them will lead to friction, in the sense that we can enforce it, but there are again, every day, how do we enforce it? We can't put a policeman at every gate. It is a sense of duty from them also. So we'll enforce it. We have in our plan, as he said very well, Suraksha, then when traffic police has this in mind, and we are going at it, and this will help both in bringing discipline to the drivers also, school bus drivers especially, because we find many school drivers who are drunk. We have had a lot of cases where they are drunk. Yes,
yeah.
It's a very serious concern. So once they are parked inside, we know their activities, we give them place to rest, we give them place where the vehicle is parked. So this helps us. Naturally, it's a very tricky situation where some schools don't have space. So we'll have to address this it's a very long and elaborate policy measure, wherein police will give their inputs and try to streamline it.
Great. On that note, thank you both very much. Very important message coming in from the Commissioner as well as Srinivas on keeping our roads safe. Thank you very much, sir. Huge round of applause for the police. Coming up next, please welcome the highly talented Pratidhwani Theatre Group.
यमराज, प्रॉब्लम आप नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम तो ये है, ये धरती वाले लोग मतलब ये लोग बोलते हैं कि सेफ्टी जरूरी है, रूल्स को फॉलो करना चाहिए, और जब फॉलो करने की बारी आती है तो बोलते हैं चल 2 मिनट इतना करने से क्या होगा, चल निकल लेते हैं।
मतलब मुझे धरती पर जाना ही होगा।
जी यमराज, आपको सबसे पहले धरती पर जाकर, एंड स्पेशली द सिलिकॉन वैली ऑफ इंडिया, नम बेंगलुरु, आपको जाकर एक ऐसा कैंडिडेट ढूंढना है जो इस कर्तव्य बैंड का हकदार हो।
क्रैश हो गया रे।
हो जाएगा।
अब्बा wake up, अब्बा अब्बा पुलिस केस हो जाएगी, दूर हटो। अरे what police is my father?
एक मिनट, ये आप क्या कर रहे हैं? भाई साहब आप रील क्यों बना रहे हैं? मैडम आप फोन में क्या देख रही हैं? आपने पुलिस को फोन किया, आपने एम्बुलेंस बुलाई, अरे पानी लाओ यार।
पानी लाओ, पानी लाओ।
एक काम करो, इनको साइड में कर देते हैं।
हाँ साइड में। अरे साइड में क्या कर रहे हो? पागल हो क्या? प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी, पुलिस केस हो जाएगा।
अरे
हाँ
मैडम
भाई, पुलिस केस हो जाएगा।
एक मिनट, चलो भाई भाई चलो बच्चे इनको साइड में।
यमराज,
हाँ
ये तो अपनी जान पे रिस्क ले रहा है।
नहीं नहीं, रिस्क नहीं ले रहा है, ये अपना कर्तव्य निभा रहा है।
मैडम पुलिस से डर लग रहा है? इंडिया में गुड समैरिटन लॉ है, जिसके तहत अगर कोई इंसान किसी दूसरे इंसान की रास्ते चलते मदद करता है, उसकी जान बचाने में, हॉस्पिटल लेके जाता है, तो पुलिस उसको बेवजह परेशान नहीं कर सकती। हमारी गवर्नमेंट ने तो राहवीर नाम की स्कीम चलाई हुई है, जिसके तहत ऐसा अच्छा काम करने वाले को गवर्नमेंट 25,000 रुपए तक का इनाम दे सकती है।
हमें
कोई बात
उसकी मदद करनी चाहिए।
उसकी मदद कीजिए प्लीज।
सॉरी भाई,
प्लीज टेक हिम टू द हॉस्पिटल।
ब्रो लगता है हमें हकदार मिल गया।
कर्तव्य बैंड का हकदार मिल गया। कर्तव्य बैंड इसका ही है, शाबाश।
We have an electric performance lined up for you, and this is by Bengaluru's own When Chai Met Toast.
और अपने लिए, धड़कन के लिए, जीवन के लिए एक वादा दोहराते रहेंगे। परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, सुरक्षित रहेंगे। परवाह करेंगे, परवाह करेंगे, सुरक्षित रहेंगे।
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged. Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
We're getting some breaking news now coming in. An informed Iranian source on the talks is saying that Iran presented reasonable initiatives and proposals during the talks. The ball is now in America's court to approach the issues realistically. Just as the US government failed in its war calculations, it has so far also miscalculated the negotiations. This is what the Iranian source is saying, mind you. It also adds Iran is in no rush, and unless the US agrees to a reasonable deal, there will be no change in the situation at Strait of Hormuz. For now, no time or place has been set for a possible next round of talks. So this is a big update coming in. Should we take this as the official version of Iran and the word coming in from Iranian authorities? Certainly a lot of grandstanding and posturing is happening in public, and Iran's message is very, very clear. They're not going to concede to anything the US is demanding, particularly on their red lines. Siddhant is also joining us. Siddhant, how do you see this this Iranian media source talking about this 4-point things that, there is no one time or place set for the next round of negotiations either.
Yeah. So, Shivani, there are multiple such versions coming from the Iranian side, Iranian press. There were many Iranian journalists present there at the media center in Islamabad. Now, one thing is clear now that Iran has a proposal for the United States, and United States has a proposal for Iran. Now, United States say that if Iran accepts those proposals, then there's going to be the truce, the ceasefire. And and Iran says that if United States accepts that proposal, perhaps that's the language says that the ball is in US, their court, US court. So one thing is for sure that both sides have not come on one page. They are still sticking to their initial position. There is no as such change in position, Shivani. For a mediator's, what is mediator's job? Mediator's job is to slightly shift the position, change the position. None of the side has agreed to change the position, and perhaps this is what we could.
Good evening and a warm welcome. It's a somber day today as we've lost Asha Tai, India's iconic Bollywood singer, who was best known for her soulful voice, is now no more. Breach Candy Hospital confirmed the news and detailed how Asha Bhosle was admitted to the hospital at around 7 p.m. on Saturday following a decline in her condition due to chest infection and fatigue. She was then placed under close observation in the ICU, further stating that despite all the efforts, she succumbed to a multi-organ failure at 12 noon today. With a career spanning over 8 decades, Asha Bhosle recorded thousands of songs across multiple languages, becoming one of India's most versatile and celebrated voices. From Bollywood classics to ghazals and pop, her voice defined generations. Tributes are pouring in from across the country as India has lost one of its most iconic musical legends.
Legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle, who was rushed to Breach Candy Hospital on Saturday, passed away on Sunday at the age of 92. According to reports, the iconic singer was taken to the hospital's emergency unit on April 11, where she later passed away. Early reports suggested she had suffered a cardiac arrest. As per reports, her son Anand Bhosle confirmed the news on Sunday afternoon, and the family has said that the last rites will be performed tomorrow.
मैं आनंद भोसले, मेरी माताजी श्रीमती आशा भोसले, इनका आज निधन हो चुका है। कल सुबह 11 बजे वो जहाँ रहती थी कासा ग्रैंड लोअर परेड, वहाँ पर जिनको अंतिम दर्शन लेने हैं वो आप वहाँ आइए, और 4 बजे कल दोपहर को शिवाजी पार्क में इनके अंतिम संस्कार होंगे.
The news comes as a shock to fans, as her granddaughter Zanai Bhosle had earlier clarified that Asha Bhosle had been hospitalized due to extreme exhaustion and a chest infection. Sharing a picture with her grandmother, she wrote, "My grandmother, Asha Bhosle, due to extreme exhaustion and suffering a chest infection, has been admitted to hospital, and we request you to value our privacy. Treatment is ongoing and hopefully everything will be well, and we shall update you positively." Coming to her musical journey, Asha Bhosle was one of the most celebrated voices in Indian music, with a career spanning several decades. Over the years, she lent her voice to innumerable songs in multiple languages, including Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, and Gujarati. She worked with some of the biggest composers in the industry, delivering numerous memorable songs across genres. Her contribution to music was recognized with top honors such as the Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 2000 and the Padma Vibhushan in 2008. Asha Bhosle's list of timeless hits includes classics such as Piya To Ab To Aaja, Dam Maro Dam, In Aankhon Ki Masti Ke Mastane Hazaron Hain, and many more. Beyond playback singing, she also appeared in the Marathi film Mine in 2013. Her remarkable journey and contribution to music will continue to hold a special place in the hearts of fans across generations. Rest in peace, legend.
Well, did you know Asha Tai holds a Guinness Book of World Record for the most recorded number of songs by an Indian artist, 11,000, whether it is solos, duets, and in multi-languages, 20 plus languages. That's her legacy that she leaves behind. We'll remember her by through her music. Now, tribute continues to pour in from the film industry. We have just about seen this tweet by Shah Rukh Khan that I'm putting out for our viewers here, where he has said that it's truly sad to learn about Asha Tai's passing. Her voice has been one of the pillars of Indian cinema and will continue to resonate world over for centuries to come. A talent that will outlive many. She always showered me with blessings and love, and I will miss her. Rest in peace, Asha Tai. Love you. And he's put out this this very, very heartwarming image of him with Asha Bhosle in truly charismatic style by both the stars, by both the artists. That's how we'd like to remember Asha Bhosle. Let's take a look at some more reactions and tributes that continue to pour in.
अभी अभी मुझे खबर मिली कि आशा जी अब हमारे बीच में नहीं है। मुस्कुरा इसलिए रहा हूँ क्योंकि आशा जी की गायकी के अलावा जो उनका व्यक्तित्व था वो हमेशा आपको, आप कितने भी अजीब और गरीब मूड में हो, आपको मुस्कुराने पर मजबूर करता था। मैंने उनके साथ करीब से काम किया, उनके साथ स्टेज शोज किए हैं और आउटस्टैंडिंग पर्सनालिटी। गाने के बारे में क्या बोलूँ मैं, गाने के बारे में तो मतलब बेवकूफ़ी होगी मेरी कि मैं बड़ा अच्छा गाती थी, उनके जैसा कोई गाता नहीं था। अधिक राष्ट्रीय धरोहर जिसे कहते हैं, नेशनल ट्रेजर, वो आज नहीं रहा। और आज हमारे नाटक जाने पहचाने अनजाने का वर्ल्ड प्रीमियर है और मैंने सोचा कि अगर आशा जी होती तो क्या कहती, शो करूं या नहीं करूं। तो कहती, नहीं अनुपम, रिमेंबर वन थिंग, शो मस्ट गो ऑन। आशा जी से बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला है। हर सिचुएशन में कैसे खुश रहें, हर सिचुएशन को कैसे टैकल करें, प्रोफेशनलिज्म, हैप्पीनेस, जॉय, togetherness, inspirational journey of a great artist. So, Asha ji, today's world premiere of Jaane Pehchane Anjane is dedicated to your body of work, your persona, your love, your warmth. Or I extend my condolences to the family, the friends and millions of fans all over the world. But वो कहते हैं ना कि ऐसे आर्टिस्ट जाते नहीं हैं, हम उनके गानों के जरिए, उनके एनेक्डोट्स के जरिए हम उनको याद रखें। और कुछ चीज़ों को याद करने के लिए मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ती है क्योंकि वो याद से जाते ही नहीं है। तो आशा जी, salute to you, your singing, your spirit, never die spirit, and the love that you spread through your voice and through your personality. Jai Hind, Jai Ho, and the show will go on.
आशा जी जैसी प्रतिभाएं धरती पर रोज रोज नहीं आती है। मेरा ये सौभाग्य रहा कि मुझे उनके साथ समय बिताने का मौका मिला, काम करने का मौका मिला। मुझे याद है एक कविता मैंने उनके लिए लिखी थी, उन्हें डेडिकेट की थी, उन्हें बहुत पसंद थी। मैं पढ़ना चाहूंगा आप सबके लिए। अभी अभी एक चंचल लड़की हवा के जैसे गुजर गई। अभी अभी एक चंचल लड़की हवा के जैसे गुजर गई। मन को छूकर जाने कब हम सब के अंदर उतर गई। अभी अभी एक चंचल लड़की हवा के जैसे गुजर गई। हरे हरे पत्तों की नोक पे, हरे हरे पत्तों की नोक पे थर्राई सी ओस की बूंद, सुनती सारी सृष्टि बैठकर खामोशी से आंखें मूंद। अभी अभी एक नदी सुरों की सामने आकर ठहर गई, अभी अभी एक चंचल लड़की हवा के जैसे गुजर गई। गुमसुम गुमसुम बैठी बंदिश उसका रास्ता देख रही, कब हम संग खेलेगी आशा, कब हम संग खेलेगी आशा, बंदिश बंदिश पूछ रही। किस्मत वाला है जिसने, किस्मत वाला है जिसने उस सुर उड़ान को देखा है और उसके संग एक सुरीले आसमान को देखा है। जागी ऋतुएं बोले मौसम, जागी ऋतुएं बोले मौसम, जब जब भी वो जिधर गई, अभी अभी एक चंचल लड़की हवा के जैसे गुजर गई।
And as an entire nation mourns the loss of Asha Bhosle, we turn to the archives to remember the voice, the personality and the fierce individuality that defined Asha Tai's journey. Back in 2023, at Network 18's She Shakti Conclave, Asha Bhosle spoke candidly about building her own identity in the shadow of her legendary sister, Lata Mangeshkar. Here's Asha Bhosle in her own words from that memorable interaction.
आशा जी, मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगी कि जब हमने आपकी अभी फिल्म देखी और इतने सारे जो फिल्म स्टार्स हैं जिनकी आप आवाज बनी है, मधुबाला से लेके माधुरी दीक्षित तक, उर्मिला मातोंडकर से लेके जीनत अमान तक, और इतना बड़ा आपने जो सफर तय किया है, लेकिन आपकी एक जो डिस्टिंक्ट क्वालिटी रही है और काफी कंपैरिजंस भी होते रहे होंगे आपके और लता जी के बीच में, लेकिन आपने एक कॉन्शियस डिसीजन किया था कि वो उनका स्टाइल है, आपका स्टाइल अपना होना चाहिए। तो ये आपने कैसे अपने जहन में ये तय किया था और उस स्टाइल को फिर कैसे होन करती गई, क्योंकि इतने सारे किरदारों के लिए आपने आवाज दी है, इतनी सारी महिलाओं के लिए आपने आवाज दी है, तो वो प्रोसेस कैसा होता है कि अब मैं जीनत अमान के लिए कैसा गाऊं, माधुरी दीक्षित के लिए कैसा गाऊं, मधुबाला के लिए कैसे गाऊं?
बचपन से हम बहनों की आवाज एक थी, तो मैं अगर उसके जैसा ही गाती तो मुझे कोई नहीं बुलाता। वो अगर बोलते कि जी लता है तो आशा का क्या काम है, आशा तो इतना अच्छा नहीं गाएगी लता जितना गाती है, ऐसे तो लोगों में होता ही है। तो हमारे में कहावत है कि नकट व्हावं पण धाकटं होऊ नये, मतलब नकटा होना अच्छा है लेकिन छोटा होना, बहन छोटी बहन जो होती है ना उसको हमेशा छोटा गिना जाता है, तो ये हमेशा से हुआ है। तो मैंने अपनी स्टाइल बदल दी, कहा कि दीदी जैसा नहीं गाना है, दीदी जैसा उसको नकल नहीं करनी। आज बहुत नकलें होती हैं उनकी, तब से लेके नकल हो रही हैं, तो नकल होती है, असल होता है। तो मैंने अपना असल बनाना चाहती थी, मैं आशा भोसले अपना नाम कायम करना चाहती थी। तो इसलिए मैंने अलग अलग देशों के गाने सुने, अलग अलग इंग्लिश बोलते इटालियन, स्पेनिश, कोई भी मैंने ये संगीत छोड़ा नहीं, और मैंने सुनती गई और अपने आवाज़ को चेंज करती गई, अपनी भावनाओं को उनको देख के सोचती थी कि ये कैसे गा रही हैं, ये कैसे करना है। ऐसे करते करते फिल्मों में मैं वही करने लग गई और लोगों को कहा ये बहुत अच्छा स्टाइल है, ऐसा कोई गाता ही नहीं है। और ये बहुत अच्छी बात हुई कि मेरे स्टाइल का गाना कोई भी नहीं गा सकता था उस वक्त, तो मुझे अच्छा लगता।
लोगों ने काफी ट्राई तो किया है, लेकिन
ट्राई तो सब करते हैं और उसमें कोई तकलीफ नहीं है। अगर कोई अच्छा कुछ करना चाहता है, अगर वो नकल भी करता है तो अच्छे के लिए करता है, मुझे इसमें कुछ नहीं है। मेरी जलने की आदत नहीं है। कि ये ऐसा हुआ तो वो मुझे चाहिए, ऐसा वैसा, वो नहीं है। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जिसके नसीब में जो है उसको मिलेगा। मेरे नसीब में था, मुझे मिला कि नहीं, क्योंकि मेरे नसीब में था। मैंने मेहनत की, बहुत मेहनत की, मैंने बहुत दुख काटे हैं, लेकिन मिला मुझे। ऐसे सुंदर बच्चे मिले, ऐसे सुंदर पोता पोती वगैरह मिले हैं, सब अच्छा है। मुझे जलन नहीं किसी से, मैं कभी मैं खुद ही बोल रही हूँ, मैं बड़ी दिल की औरत हूँ कि मैं अगर चाहूँ तो मेरा प्रेशस चीज वो होगी ना, मुझे मालूम है कि इससे मेरा बहुत नाम होने वाला ये है वो, मैं उसको छोड़ के आ जाती हूँ। मैं इतनी बड़ी
ईगो नहीं है,
ईगो नहीं है, ईगो नहीं है, इसलिए मैं लोगों को बहुत पसंद हूँ। लोग मुझे गाने से ज्यादा पर्सन से पसंद करते हैं। आशा भोसले मैं कैसी हूँ वैसे उनको पता है कि ये बहुत साफ बोलने वाली औरत है, ये सबसे मिलनसार है, सब है, वो उनको पसंद है। मैं इसलिए उनके घर की सदस्य बन गई हूँ। गाना सुनते हैं वो, गाने से मेरे को पहले जाना है, लेकिन बाद में घर का सदस्य बना लिया है।
बिल्कुल घर का सदस्य है। और आई थिंक यू आर द सबकॉन्शियस ऑफ द नेशन। अगर हमें प्यार हुआ किसी से तो आपका गाना मन में आता है, दुखी हुए तो आपका गाना मन में आता है, जो भी एक इमोशनल जो जर्नी होती है हमारे जहन में, आपके गाने तो जरूर याद आ जाते हैं। लेकिन आशा जी, मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहूंगी, आज आपकी ग्रैंड डॉटर यहाँ पे है, शी इज ऑल्सो attempting to get into the music business and आप उनसे क्या कहती हैं जब आपकी कॉन्वर्सेशन होती है, वो कहती हैं कि उन्हें भी आपके जैसे बनना है और आपके जैसे सफर करना है, तो आप उन्हें क्या कहती हैं?
वो मेरे से बहुत ज्यादा टैलेंटेड है।
आपसे ज्यादा टैलेंटेड है?
क्योंकि वो कथक डांस 5 साल से सीखी है, उम्र की 5 साल से। वो कथक में एकदम ठीक है, मॉडर्न डांस में भी अच्छी है, एक्टिंग भी करती है, गाना भी गाती है, तो मुझसे ज्यादा उसमें है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सुनेंगे, बिल्कुल सुनेंगे। I heard you. I'm walking up to her because this is your grandmother has said that you're as talented as her. So
आज तुझा आवाज चांगला नाही, गाणं गाऊ नकोस.
she's already giving you instructions on stage, is it? A tribute to your grandmother.
नमस्कार। तो ये गाना एक्चुअली मेरे ग्रैंड आंट लता जी का है और ये भी मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब है क्योंकि इन दोनों से कोई कनेक्शन मिल जाता है फिर। अजीब दास्तां है, कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म, ये मंजिलें है कौन सी, ना वो समझ सके ना हम, ना वो समझ सके ना हम। Thank you.
Thank you so much for being such a sport. आशा जी, पास हो गई?
अभी उसको तराशना है।
आप अभी भी रियाज करती हैं? रोज रियाज करती हैं?
जी बिल्कुल।
कितने घंटे करती हैं आप रियाज?
मैं जब मन में आए, जब जैसे वक्त होता है ऐसे बैठ जाती हूँ। रात को 12 बजे भी बैठती हूँ और सुबह 7 बजे उठती हूँ, कभी 5 बजे उठती हूँ। मेरा ऐसा बंधन नहीं है कि मैं अभी सुबह ही करूँ या रात, कभी भी बैठती हूँ।
हाँ।
मेरे नौकर बहुत तंग आ गए मेरे से। जब देखो गाती रहती है,
जब देखो
ताने
गाती
मारती
रहती है। पर ये मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी, आप एक थोड़ी रेबेलियस भी रही हैं, आप बहुत रही हैं, बहुत रेबेलियस रही हैं कि आपकी मम्मी ने कहा था कि बाल नहीं काटने चाहिए, लेकिन आप जब बचपन में आप खुद ही गई और बाल कटवा के वापस आ गई।
13 साल की थी।
13 साल की थी।
और नाना चौक में कोई उस वक्त, तो आज से कितने साल पहले, मतलब 44-45 की बात है, तब तो औरतों के लिए कोई दुकान होता ही नहीं था बाल काटने का, कुछ नहीं था ना, अभी जैसा है सैलून वालून। तो उस वक्त में बाजू में एक क्रिश्चियन आदमी का दुकान था, डेबेलो करके, उसके दुकान में सब आदमी लोग बैठे दाढ़ी वाड़ी कर रहे थे, तो मैं जाके अपने बाल कटवा के आ गई।
We now have a special guest joining us on the broadcast. Singer Anup Cholota is with us. Sir, बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। आज एक दुखद दिन है, लेकिन एक सेलिब्रेशन का भी दिन है, क्योंकि आशा जी को हम उनके गानों से, उनके गीतों से हमेशा जिंदा रखेंगे। आपकी मेमोरीज हमसे जरूर शेयर करिए सर।
देखिए, आशा जी हमारे फिल्म इंडस्ट्री की प्लेबैक सिंगिंग में एक स्तंभ है, पिलर जिसको कहते हैं। और कोई भी लड़की जब सोचती है कि मुझे गाना गाना है, तो वो या तो कहती है आशा जी जैसा गाना है या लता जी जैसा गाना है, कहानी यहीं खत्म हो जाती है। यहीं से कुछ उठाना है, जैसे ये गाते हैं, उनकी स्टाइल को गाना है। तो आशा जी ने तो कुछ छोड़ा ही नहीं। भजन, गजल, ये चुलबुले सॉन्ग, सीरियस सॉन्ग्स, क्लासिकल, हर चीज गजब, सारी लैंग्वेजेस में गाया। इतनी वर्सेटाइल तो कोई दूसरी सिंगर है ही नहीं हमारे इंडस्ट्री में।
अनूप जी, आपने गजल की बात कही, आपकी बात काट के एक छोटा सा सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी। उमराव जान जब हुई तो उस समय खयाम साहब का ये कहना था कि आशा जी की जो आवाज है वो बहुत ही ज्यादा वेस्टर्नाइज्ड है, तो उनको थोड़ा इंडियनाइज करने की जरूरत है। इसके पीछे क्या कहानी थी सर?
देखिए, खयाम साहब की एक अलग थिंकिंग थी। उन्होंने जब अपने गाने बनाए, मैं खयाम साहब से बहुत क्लोज रहा हूँ, तो उन्होंने जो गाने बनाए तो ये सोचा गया कि किससे गवाने हैं। ये अब बिल्कुल सामने नाम आ गया था आशा जी का, लेकिन इनको लगा कि इनको अपनी स्टाइल में उनको मोल्ड करना पड़ेगा। तो उसमें दिक्कत की कोई बात ही नहीं थी। आशा जी ने तो हर स्टाइल में गाया हुआ है, उनको अपने को मोल्ड करने में क्या दिक्कत होती है। उन दिनों बहुत से गाने वेस्टर्न स्टाइल में, क्योंकि उन्होंने गाए हुए थे। आरडी साहब के गाने आते थे तो वेस्टर्न स्टाइल के आते थे, उन्होंने बहुत गाए। तो खयाम साहब को कहीं ऐसा लगा कि ये तो वेस्टर्न बहुत गा रही है, वो स्टाइल आएगी, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं। जब आशा जी ने शुरू किया इन गानों को गाना, तो क्या बेहतरीन गाया है, सारी दुनिया जानती है। और हर स्टाइल को गाने, अब गुलाम अली साहब के साथ जो उन्होंने एल्बम बनाया था गजलों का,
जी।
क्या बेहतरीन गाया है। मतलब उसको सुन के कहीं कहीं ये लगता था कि भाई गुलाम अली साहब से कहीं भारी पड़ रही है गाने में, आई आ रही है। तो होता है कहीं
अनूप जी,
कहीं।
गुलाम अली साहब का आपने जिक्र किया, आशा भोसले का जिक्र किया। आपकी उन चुनिंदा यादों में जो एक गीत है जो आपका बहुत ही ज्यादा पसंदीदा हो आशा ताई का, वो कौन सा है? और मैं जरूर आपसे दरख्वास्त करूंगी कि आप प्लीज उसको गुनगुना के कहिए।
ये गजल है, दयार दिल की रात में चराग सा जला गया। अब वो जो नीचे का सुर लगता है, मध्यम, तीव्र मध्यम, चराग सा, चराग सा, और उस पर ठहराव, ये सब सिंगर नहीं कर सकते हैं। ये सुन के लगता है कि ये बहुत बड़े सिंगर ही ऐसा काम कर सकते हैं, और वो गुलाम अली साहब ने भी वो किया और आशा जी ने भी वो जगह दिखाई है साफ साफ। बहुत कमाल की गायकी। तो देखिए, सच तो ये है कि हम लोग अच्छा गाना जब सुनते हैं तो दाद तो देते ही हैं, फिर हम उसमें से कुछ सीख लेते हैं। तो आशा जी का जो गाना हम सुनते हैं तो उसका मजा तो लेते हैं, लेकिन उसमें से कोई चीज निकाल के अपने पॉकेट में डाल लेते हैं कि यार हम भी सही गाएंगे, कुछ इस स्टाइल को।
ये हिंदुस्तानी सिंगर्स के तौर पे एक लौती ऐसी सिंगर हैं जिन्होंने ग्रैमीज की दुनिया में कदम रखा। शी वाज द फर्स्ट इंडियन सिंगर टू हैव एवर बीन नॉमिनेटेड फॉर द ग्रैमीज, एंड दैट्स अनदर अचीवमेंट जिसके बारे में बहुत कम लोग जानते हैं। उसके बाद फिर दोबारा नॉमिनेट हुई, उनकी इंटरनेशनल कोलैबोरेशंस की बात सब करते हैं। जो आजकल की जेन जी है, वो उन्होंने एक गाना, अगर उनका सिंगल्स देखे हों या नहीं देखे हों, लेकिन एक गाना ब्रेट ली के साथ, ऑस्ट्रेलियन क्रिकेटर के साथ जरूर देखा होगा। तो इस तरह की वर्सेटाइल पर्सनालिटी रही हैं आशा ताई।
उन्होंने ओसीबीसा के साथ काम किया। हमारे दिनेश पंडित एक बहुत अच्छे म्यूजिशियन हैं, जो पंडित जसराज की फैमिली के हैं, लंदन में रहते हैं। वो आशा जी के बहुत क्लोज है, तो उन्होंने आशा जी को इंट्रोड्यूस किया कि आप ओसीबीसा में गाइए, इस गाइए, उसमें गाइए। तो इन्होंने वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में काम किया और बहुत अच्छा किया, लोगों ने बहुत पसंद किया। ये ब्रेटली का तो बाद में आया, उसके पहले ओसीबीसा का हो गया था। तो अब जिसमें जो वर्सटैलिटी है, वो कुछ भी करे, उसमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है। तो पूरा चौमुखा आर्टिस्ट जो होता है कि हर ओर का संगीत वो अपने मुख से गा सकता है, तो उनमें आशा जी। अब शौकीन भी इतनी, खाने पीने की शौकीन,
अच्छा।
खाएं, खिलाती ज्यादा है, थोड़ा खाती है। अब हम अभी 2-3 महीने पहले ही घर गए थे, तो उन्होंने बढ़िया कबाब अपने हाथ से बनाए हुए थे कि भाई तुम आए हो, मैं और तलत अजीज दोनों गए थे, आए तो तुम्हारे लिए खुद बनाया, बड़े कमाल के कबाब बनाए थे, वो खिलाए।
और किस चीज की शौकीन थी? खुद क्या खाने की शौकीन थी वो?
खुद नहीं, सब कुछ खाती थी लेकिन थोड़ा थोड़ा, लेकिन खिलाती बहुत थी। हमको 6-7 कबाब खिला दिया, हमने सोचा था एक ही खाएंगे, लेकिन तो बनाए भी इतने कमाल के थे। एक बार बिरयानी बहुत अच्छी बनाई थी, तब बुलाया था, तो हमने खाया था। तब वो प्रभु कुंज में रहती थी, इसके पहले वाले, जिसमें लता जी भी रहती थी। तो उनके खाने पीने का शौक जो है, उस वजह से उनके नाम के रेस्टोरेंट बने। आशाज एक बहुत मशहूर रेस्टोरेंट दुबई में है, जहाँ पूरा दुबई खाना खाने जाता है। वहाँ वही डिशेस खिलाई जाती है जो आशा जी को शौक से वो बनाती थी और खाती थी। तो इस तरह आशाज रेस्टोरेंट कई जगह बन रहे हैं, ये उनके खाने का शौक।
आप जब गए थे दुबई उनके रेस्टोरेंट में, उनके नाम के रेस्टोरेंट में, तो आप सबसे पहले क्या ऑर्डर करते हैं, आपका फेवरेट?
देखिए हुआ क्या कि हम वहाँ पहुंचे, उन लोगों को पता लग गया कि मैं आया हूँ। वहाँ के ओनर्स जो है, वहाँ जो चलाते हैं उसको, ओनर्स तो आशा जी हैं, लेकिन जो लोग चलाते हैं, तो उन्होंने हमको कहा कि आप ऑर्डर मत दीजिए, हमारे पास जो जो चीजें उनके शौक की हैं, जो वो पसंद करती है, हम आपको सब थोड़ा थोड़ा खिलाएंगे। तो हमारा अपना ऑर्डर तो बंद हो गया। अब हम वहाँ बैठ गए और उन्होंने एक एक चीज खिलानी शुरू की। उन्होंने मुझे 26 आइटम खिलाए। अब आप समझ सकते 26 आइटम तो पूरे तो नहीं खाए होंगे मैंने उन लोगों से कहा भैया बुरा नहीं मानना, थोड़ा थोड़ा ही खाऊंगा, लेकिन उन्होंने वो सब खिलाए जो आशा जी के मनपसंद के हैं, और बहुत मजा आया वहाँ पे खाने।
अनूप जी, आजकल एक वर्ड का इस्तेमाल बहुत होता है, डिसरप्टर। उस जमाने में दम मारो दम एक डिसरप्टर एंथम था, और मेरी जितनी जानकारी है ये तय हुआ था कि ये एक डुएट गाना होगा, लेकिन देवानंद साहब को ये लगा कि नहीं, आशा भोसले इसको अकेले ही अकम्प्लिश कर सकती हैं। इसके बारे में बताइए, क्या कहानी है?
आशा जी कंप्लीट आर्टिस्ट है। उनकी आवाज में ऐसी ऐसी अदायगी है, ऐसा ऐसा वेरिएशन है जो कोई दूसरा सिंगर नहीं दे सकता है। अकॉर्डिंग टू मी एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू मेनी म्यूजिशियंस, आशा जी इज मोर वर्सेटाइल देन लता जी। लता जी की गायकी अलग है, आशा जी की गायकी में बहुत कुछ है। तो हमने कभी भी दोनों को एक दूसरे से कम या ज्यादा नहीं समझा है, लेकिन इतना समझा है कि आशा जी इज मोर वर्सेटाइल देन लता जी। गाने में तो दोनों ही कमाल है, लता जी की गायकी। अब फर्क ये है कि लता जी का गाना सुन के ये लगता है कि कोई बहुत ही शरीफ लड़की गा रही है, बहुत अच्छी है, गंगा की धुली हुई कोई गा रही है। आशा जी का सुन के लगता है कि ये तो जी पद्मा खन्ना भी हो सकती है, ये तनुजा भी हो सकती है, ये चुलबुली, ये श्रीदेवी हो सकती है
जी।
तो ये देन आवाज की मनुष्य को होती है, लेकिन देन के बाद उसको मेंटेन करना, उसको उसमें ढालना, ये चीज आशा जी ने बहुत कमाल की दिखाई है। ये स्कूल है, ये कोई सिंगर थोड़ी है। आशा जी, लता जी स्कूल है, यूनिवर्सिटी है।
जी।
जो भी गाने आएगा फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में, तो वो सोचेगा या तो मैं आशा जी जैसा गा लूं या लता जी जैसा गा लूं। कहानी बंद है यहाँ, और कौन है तीसरा? वो है ही नहीं।
एब्सोल्युटली। अनूप जी, इतनी सारी बातें आपने बताई आशा जी के बारे में, बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। इट वाज एब्सोल्युटली लवली टॉकिंग टू यू एंड लिविंग आशा जी's memory. Thank you so much for being a part of this. With that, we go into a very short break.
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, Their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged. Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Watch Brass Tacks with Nabila Jamal.
First up, let's get you this. As far as the war situation is concerned, talks between US and Iran are over, but there is no resolution. After 21 hours of negotiations in Islamabad, US and Iran have walked away without any agreement. In fact, their differences of opinion have become even stronger. Both sides are now blaming each other. US Vice President J.D. Vance says Washington put up a final offer on the table. He says Iran simply refused to accept the terms. Their key demand was a clear commitment from Tehran to not pursue nuclear weapons, but Iran is pushing back. Iran accuses Washington instead of making unreasonable demands and blocking progress. The biggest sticking point remains unchanged. Iran's right to enrich uranium, future of the Strait of Hormuz included. So where does this leave the region? The ceasefire is holding for now, but the mood is tense. There is no breakthrough, no roadmap really, and no clarity on what happens next.
Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Hello and welcome to Health Matters. I'm your host, Himani Chandana. Your watch is no longer just telling you the time. It is tracking your heart through the day and night, measuring how well your body recovered from yesterday, flagging stress your mind hasn't registered yet. Wearable health devices have quietly moved from fitness accessories to personal health monitors, and they are changing the way people used to relate to their own bodies. Today on Health Matters, we will talk about what these devices are, what they actually measure, and whether we are using them wisely or not. Let us start with the basics because the wearable health market is broad and not all devices do the same thing. The most familiar is smartwatch. It sits on your wrist and does considerably more than tell the time. It tracks your heart rate, blood oxygen, sleep, activity levels, and in some models, even an ECG or electrocardiogram. Then there are fitness bands, simpler, more affordable devices focused on steps, basic heart rate, and sleep. A rapidly growing category is the continuous glucose monitors or CGM. This is a small sensor worn on the arm that reads your blood sugar levels in real time without a single prick. Once used almost exclusively by diabetics, it is now being adopted by people who simply want to understand how food and lifestyle affect their body. Then there are smart rings worn on the finger, quietly tracking your heart rate, sleep stages, and skin temperature around the clock. And at the most clinical end of the spectrum, wearable ECG patches. These are not consumer devices, they are used under medical guidance to monitor heart rhythm continuously